Good morning, Taylor Gang. Y'all, we about to get this started. Today we are going to rewatch the Joe Tacopina's portion of closing arguments. And I will get started.
Jurors, counsel are present. Mr. Tacopina, are you ready to address the jury?
Yes.
Floor is yours.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The defendant, Rakim Mayers, now has and is afforded an opportunity to argue the case, if you will. I'm not going to argue to you, ladies and gentlemen. What I'm going to do is try to discuss reasonable inferences that we believe can be drawn from the evidence. What I'm going to do is something a little different. I'm going to cede the floor to the transcripts in this case, the testimony. So it's not in dispute, what I'm going to say. Ultimately, what will determine the facts and what's going to be important is you. And we can all live with that. You're empowered to do justice here. This is a great system of ours and it works. And I'd like to, first and foremost, I'd like to commend and compliment Mr. President when I go to fine arguments. I don't agree with much of anything he had to say, but I did listen intently, and I hope you'll do the same with me. There's a few things on what he said, though, I do have to just address immediately. And during his argument, because I didn't object doesn't mean I agreed. I didn't object once. I thought there were some misstatements of facts. I'll deal with that. But I'm not afraid of anything that was said or anything he had to say. I didn't want to interrupt him. I didn't want to object. I wanted you to hear where the arguments are. Let's see if they give me that same courtesy. He did, during his 2+ hours first summation, they get 2 summations, you'll hear about that later. He didn't once mention the fact that their only witness in this case committed perjury again and again and again and again in this court. That wasn't mentioned once, not even dealt with. That's an important issue in this case, as you're going to see, because the case does rise and fall in its credibility, without question. Without question. Detective Flores, their case detective, testified, and we'll put up this testimony in a bit, that without Relly, the 2 videos and the sounds, there was no evidence of a shooting. It could be, could not be. That's certainly not proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So Relly's testimony is in fact everything. And Mr. President seemed very worried about what I'm going to say about Mr. Efron and his credibility. He understands that the case rises and falls with him. And he spent a lot of time anticipating what I'm going to say about it. One thing he said I would do, but I promise you I won't, is I'm not going to go through every inconsistency of Mr. Efron. We'd be here until Christmas. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go through the major lies he told, the admissions of perjury, the important facts that he told you that turned out to be lies. I'm not going to worry about some inconsistency he told about some statement he made 2 years ago or 3 years ago. We would be here literally for days on end, and I'm not going to do that. Mr. Prezomo said there's no evidence of a profit in this case. Again, we'll get to all this. There's definitely a lot less evidence of a real gun in this case than a profit. The facts scream out that it's impossible for what he had that night to be a real gun. The DA spent much of that argument, 2 hours and 15 minutes or so, repeating himself, repeating the same arguments again and again, sometimes in sarcastic tone, because the evidence isn't there. Look, together, hopefully, these discussions that we're going to have are going to be helpful in trying to arrive at a decision in this case, where you don't compromise, where you don't do violence to your conscience, where you do the right thing. And you're the ones who are empowered to determine what, in fact, is the right thing. It's you. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever in your life been falsely accused of it? Ever been falsely accused of it? Have you ever had to sit there and take it, watch proceedings, or watch how it played out, and wait and wait and wait, knowing that you're innocent, knowing that you didn't do it? All you can do during such a process is maintain your dignity. Isn't that right? All you can do is maintain your dignity. Knowing that you're innocent, but maintaining your dignity and remembering always that you're left in a crisis because you're conduct during it. That's another reason why I am so proud to represent Rob. He's a man who's maintained his innocence from day one, 3.5+ years ago, who's conducted himself with dignity throughout these proceedings from day one. I started off telling you about this case was all about my first lines out of the bat in the opening statement. It seems like a year and a half ago. Was that this case was about Relly's jealousy, lies, and greed. I said that you'd see the kind of person he was in this courtroom, an angry, pathological liar. That he, and he alone, is the source of all the evidence that they are relying on. And this case would rise and fall on his credibility. You take him out of the picture, there is no case. And as I promised, Relly showed you who he truly was when it came time to cross-examination. He's a man who told you without hesitation, I can tell people whatever I want. He said that, actually, to you. I was right out of the box, the first one to get the line, please.
You want the audio-visual person? Please, Alex, don't mark this.
I'm good. I don't want
That's fine.
Yeah.
We have an audio-visual person in the court. Let him come up and see the project. Go ahead.
to.
Sure.
Please.
It works on the computer.
Okay. What you would have heard, what you may see one day, hopefully after Mark comes up and saves us once again, is him literally saying to you, I can tell people whatever I want. He's their witness, who you're being asked to believe beyond a reasonable doubt. I can tell people whatever I want. He's a man who literally gave 4 different answers to one question. 4 answers, 1 question. He said, yes, no, I don't recall, I don't know, in 1 question. That was the first for me. I've been doing this for a bit. That was the first for me. 4 answers, 1 question. Yes, no, I don't recall. I don't know. He's a man who committed perjury before your eyes over and over again. A man who snapped, cursed, threw a water bottle while he was testifying, cursed in this courtroom. Threw a water bottle out of anger while testifying in the light of court with the judge, with the jury, with these terrific sheriff's deputies and bailiffs, That's how you get here. Imagine what he's capable in the dark of night. He doesn't think was watching. The evidence in this case has shown you that this case indeed rises on his credibility or falls on his credibility, and it is falling hard. Before we start, I do want to thank you all. It's right to thank you all for your commitment and sacrifice in this case. It's not been an easy case. It's been a long, long case. It's been odd that not one of you have ever been late. Another first for me. Been doing this for a while, both as a prosecutor and defense attorney. Not once have we been waiting for a juror. So your commitment and your sacrifice is extraordinary, especially in a 4-week trial. So we both sides thank you for that. I know that. But this is what this is about. This is why we love what we do. That's why I love what I do. It's an opportunity to come before people who are from the community, who are the conscience of the community, because you are the conscience of this community. And when I say community, I mean you represent the community of Los Angeles. Every part of the community, parts that are represented here, and parts that aren't represented here, Compton, Englewood, you represent all parts of this community. You set the standards, you tell us what's right and what's wrong with your work. Use your common sense to do that, and ladies and gentlemen, your work goes far beyond these courtroom doors. The evidence isn't there in this case. It's not even close. Again, appreciate Mr. President's argument, but we're going to dissect the evidence now. Apart from Relly's testimony, the prosecution, just his testimony, I'm talking about his physical evidence, he said, apart from his testimony, the prosecution's evidence consists of videos, shell casings, and knuckle scrapes. And I don't know what else to call them but knuckle scrapes. I know they said, oh, he's going to call them knuckle scrapes. What do I want to call them? Bullet wounds? I mean, they're knuckle scrapes. Videos don't prove that case, they prove the opposite. I think Relly was the aggressor in both videos, and we'll show you those, and we'll show you them slowly. The shell casing is not. Sorry.
Mark says it's set up right, but he needs to.
Yeah, I'll stop for a second. You want to try it? Let's try it. Thanks.
Go ahead. You need back here or over here? Yeah.
You want to hang around for a little bit, or?
I know, right?
Stick around. Okay.
Don't go far.
Thank you very much. Well, anyway, he was one of the videos. Michael played that. Steve.
Right.
Yes, no, I will. I don't know. It's been so long. I tell people what it was. I don't get it, but no. Yes, no, I will. I don't know. It's been so long. I tell people what it was.
Okay. I didn't really discuss it. I'll have to go back to it, but you get it once. You could take that down, please. Anyway, the shell casings and the knuckle scrapes mean absolutely nothing without believing Relly's story about them. They mean nothing without believing his story in whole about them. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about how the evidence or lack of evidence shaped up in this case. Before we do, I want to make clear what Rocky is charged with. He's charged with 2 counts of assault with a semi-automatic weapon. One for the altercation by the parking garage on Argyle Avenue. The other for the altercation is Del Mar, that fuzzy video that you see. The DA said you only have to decide if it's prop gun or not. That's it. That's all you have to decide. Person. Nothing else is in dispute. That is not true. That's not true. And the judge just told you this the other day. He said As a matter of fact, that's not what you just have to decide. It completely ignores the self-defense and defense of others law that the judge instructed you on. But they see what they want to see. They say what they want to say. They hide from you what they don't want you to see. Which is why they cut off the end of the video on Lisa Del Mar. I'm going to show you what they cut off. They cut off after Rocky's gone. After 12 is already running away, they cut off the part where Pelly goes back and gets Ills one more time. The guy who's only using for a human shield. They cut that part of the video off. We did. We'll show you. The judge will instruct you. Each of those charges requires the prosecution to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Another term I didn't hear much in the 2 hours plus summation of this result. Beyond a reasonable doubt that Rocky possessed a real operable semi-automatic firearm and that Rocky did not act in self-defense or defense of another. Beyond a reasonable doubt. And the evidence just isn't there. It's not even close in this case, guys. It's not even close. I'm here to gain respect for the undeniable fact that even now, as we sit here, Rakim Mayers is presumed innocent. He's presumed innocent as we sit here now. I'm here to point out the numerous reasonable doubts that lurk in the evidence in this case. Because, folks, please remember, the judge didn't tell you, he did already have some charges. All you need is one. All you need is one. I submit to you, there are hundreds of reasonable doubts. There's hundreds. You just need one. And the case is over. We have this idea of a reasonable doubt. It's not what we do in our daily lives on the street when talking to our friends or analyzing whether our kids have been truthful or friends have been truthful. But it's something that's really important in this setting, the courtroom. Because it seems, as a country, that it has served us very, very well. People who founded this country, who are no strangers to controversy, and certainly no strangers to social danger, have created some of it themselves even. They knew that the surest and best way to guarantee the liberty of citizens was to make sure that if the government brought charges against one of its citizens, they had to prove. And if there was a doubt based on reason, if there was a reasonable doubt, there had to be an acquittal. Had to be. What a reasonable doubt isn't, the judge said this to you in the beginning, like, again, 4 weeks ago, whenever that was. What a reasonable doubt isn't, it isn't he may have committed the crime. It isn't he probably committed the crime. It is I'm almost certain he committed the crime. That doesn't carry it. It's I have no reason to doubt he committed the crime. What was proven beyond a reasonable doubt in this case? Terrell Efron is a compulsive liar and perjurer. That was proven beyond a reasonable doubt. He lies without remorse. Folks, he even bragged to you about committing perjury. He literally did. And you're going to see it. As long as Mark is close by, the video where you're going to see him literally bragging about committing perjury to you. You know, this reasonable doubt, proof beyond a reasonable doubt, you're going to hear me talk about it again. But the prosecution told you just now, Mr. Solomon said, that the defense story is impossible. They have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. You can't just say it. They have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. They have not met their burden here, not even close, because they can't. It's a very heavy burden, and they've not come close. That's why they resort to making excuses, playing games, relying on possibilities, which is really funny, because you were all here for jury selection, because you wouldn't be here if you weren't here for jury selection. See how smart I am? You were all here when Mr. Lewin in jury selection said, we'll never ask you to look at what's possible in this case. Remember that? It's like the closing remark in jury selection. We'll never ask you to look at what's possible. You said that. Yet, as we walk through the evidence together, you'll see all the possibilities they presented. Starting with that first witness out of the gate. Right here at the jury selection. Boom! First witness, Zizzo, right out of the game. Is it possible you missed the shell casings? You have to say, you never say anything about the word possible. You won't be asked what's possible in this case. First witness out of the box, Officer Zizzo.
Everybody say what's up to FFS.
You missed the shell
FFS
casings.
has entered the chat, y'all.
Possible is not proof beyond reasonable doubt, nor are excuses. Why were there no fingerprints on those shell casings that really claimed to have found that night? Remember what the floor said about that? Excuses. Well, you know, if it rained, if there was water, if there were cars, if there was wind. We'll go past that. We'll review the evidence together, and you'll see that their excuses for not having proof really start stacking up. And in face of only possibilities and excuses, they resorted to playing games in an effort to win at all costs. And it's not about justice. It was able to stop winning. Plain and simple. And they played games in this case that should offend you. I'm not just saying it, I'm going to take you through. Not showing you evidence, embracing perjury of this relic, trying to deceive you. Remember something I said to you in the opening. I said we're here to make promises both sides, but not like politicians' promises. You know, the thing where we promise you the moon, you vote based on our promises, and you see if we fulfill them. Here, we make promises in that opening statement. You get to see if we fulfill them, then you vote. Let's see what they promised compared to what we promised. They told you Rocky was the aggressor. His text messages show he was the aggressor. We got deleted text messages, we'll get to that. They told you that Rocky shot Relly with a real gun. We told you that Relly was manufacturing the story, deleting and destroying evidence. He was trying to extort Rocky, which came through. That Relly was the real aggressor. Rocky used the prop to defend himself. There are two hurdles that they have to overcome to get a conviction in this case. Two hurdles. They cannot overcome them. One is that an object in Rocky's hand on November 6, 2021 was not a prop gun, beyond the reasonable doubt. Second is that Rocky did not act in self-defense in 12-year hills. The judge instructed you, if the prosecution failed to prove the object in Rocky's hand was not a prop gun, beyond the reasonable doubt, the case is over. It's over. Beyond reasonable doubt. You can stop there. It's over. The judge also told you that regardless of what Rocky had in his hand, if you find that he acted in self-defense or in defense of 12-year-old ills, he's also not guilty. That's the law. It's not our argument. They bear the heavy burden of disproving self-defense or defense of another beyond the reasonable doubt. And that's a burden that they cannot carry in this case, not even close. Relly threatened Rocky, Relly threatened Schwelby, Relly repeatedly punched Ills and ragdolled Ills. And we're going to show you that again on the video, slowly. You had it narrated to you, but you can see it on the video. Before we do that and talk about it, let's discuss why they can't overcome that first hurdle. First, beyond reasonable doubt, that the object in Rocky's hand was real, was not what we fired on, because they absolutely cannot overcome that. There is incontrovertible evidence and testimony in this case, and other evidence that shows you the object that Rocky was possessing was a prop gun. Unimpeached. Not a real firearm. And they asked why. First of all, remember, there's no evidence in the record Rocky was licensed to carry in 2021. He wasn't. But Schwelby and Lou told you it wasn't a real gun. Two people came here, took an oath, and told you it was not a real gun. Lou Lemon told you where it came from, that D&B music video. He identified it with Rocky and Rihanna from July of 2021, right before. He told you he put a clip drawer on it, essentially a belt clip, to clip the piece onto a belt to make it easy to carry. And he extended the magazine with a clear magazine to make it look more intimidating because the Glock he had, that prop gun Glock, 26 sort of fits in a pocket, it's really small. So this was meant as a deterrent. Mr. Sloman told you that Lululemon couldn't name the security guy who advised Rocky to carry a prop gun. He was never asked. And he didn't say security guy, he said Rocky's security team. The testimony you could, by the way, you can always have the testimony read back to you at any point. If there's any dispute, I know you guys can take crazy things, but if there's any dispute, you can always say, can we have that part read back of the testimony where Mr. Lemon talked about the security people who advised on it, or whatever, hypothetically. So he never was asked who, but he didn't say a security guy. He said security team, and he just said he concurred. He wasn't pretending to be a security advisor that they mocked him. They didn't ask him that, yet they just tried to argue that to you. Mr. Levin also told you that the prop gun didn't serve its intended purpose on November 6th, obviously, 2021. And Rocky gave it back to him, and he gave it back to this co-director from the DMV video when he went to New York next. He remember it was December, January, or whatever. By the way, we didn't bring a picture of the video. We're the ones with the burden of proof here, folks. They have the burden. The DMV videos for all to see. It's out there. They could have, if they wanted to, subpoenaed it. They could have burned it in. Put it on YouTube. They didn't do it. They didn't want you to see that video. Lou Levin told you he asked the co-director, said Haji, where the prop gun went. He did call him back after 5 months later when Rocky was eventually charged and then sued. And Haji, this prop gun guy, the director, co-director, said he didn't know that. He explained he had a studio, a big studio in common with other directors of these videos and films and whatnot. And he said it was a common space that had cameras, lighting equipment, prop equipment, and everything else that was barred and exchanged and whatnot between a bunch of people. That's uncontroverted testimony. And it was gone. The guy Haji couldn't find it. Don't think Lou didn't try. He did. The guy Haji said it was gone. And you heard the DA spoke. They told you. They told Lou. They spoke to Haji. They recorded it. They told you. And you know, if Haji said anything inconsistent with what Lou said, you're going to hear that thing.
Your Honor, we found out about it that day. It's improper.
There are no speaking objections. There are no speaking objections. I told you that. You will have an opportunity in your rebuttal argument.
Objection, improper argument.
Overruled.
Because if he says it loudly, it's going to get sustained.
Objection, improper
Sustained.
argument.
That is sustained. Don't do that, Mr. Chairman.
Anyway, you were heard. You know, they knew about Lou Levin prosecution before this trial started. They knew before this trial started, he said that the prop gun came from a music video that could have looked like, and they could have looked at prop houses, the music video, whatever else. They could have done it too. But they didn't say, oh, we didn't do it. Again, you had absolutely no burden to do anything. We did provide live witness testimony. We cross-examined people. It wasn't a surprise to them. They didn't want to look at groups. They knew what they were going to find. That's why you didn't hear anything.
That's improper argument. Overruled.
Reveille's words and actions on November 6, 2021 show you it wasn't the real gun. His words and actions show you. All the prosecution's objective evidence in this case, everything that doesn't come from Reveille shows you this was not a real gun. Common sense also shows you it was not a real gun. On that last point, the prosecution would have you believe that Rocky, you saw that video, shot a real gun at his friend Ills, who was right there. I mean, Ills was right there. According to them, he shot the gun, a real gun. at his friend Bill's. That makes no sense. You saw the video. The second shot, Bill's was right there. There's no way, even if that was a real gun, that Hills wasn't getting it. That was real. There was no way. DA then said, well, why? Why would he get rid of the prop gun? He said, we haven't explained that. I think we did. I think Lou Levin explained that pretty well, pretty clearly. Remember, they didn't know 5 months later the police would come. They weren't thinking, we better save this in case, I don't know, next year at some point I get arrested. That was the furthest thing from Rocky's mind. They did know that it did not serve its intended purpose. They did know that. So that was the end of that. Rocky got rid of that prop gun that didn't work and instead beefed up his security. So now he had to have security all the time instead of just going to events, even when it was his friends on the street. Of course, he didn't know the police were going to be involved 5 months later. As for 12 and Lou Levin, you heard from each of them. And before we get into what they said, let's talk about the process. What's supposed to be about the search for the truth. That's what it's meant to be. It's not supposed to be about just trying to win. That's what it's not supposed to be about. Especially when you have the power of law enforcement government behind you. It's the prosecutor's job to make sure innocent people go free also. And it makes sense that all the witnesses come to your attention. All the witnesses come to your attention, as we had to do in this case. You can see that responsible citizens came in here as witnesses who were often treated roughly and ridiculed, attacked by Mr. Lewin, an obsession to win, attacked. You don't treat witnesses who came in here, who don't get paid to tell the truth, have no financial motive, you don't treat them like that. Just purely and simply because they're not saying what you want them to say in your version of what the truth might be. You don't do that. Mark Twain, way off, once said, to a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. That came to life.
What's up, family? Everybody say what's up to Flesh of the Gods. He has entered the chat, y'all. Everybody say what's up to my boy.
Mentioned you all, okay, he perjured himself before you guys many times. Called things fake, that weren't fake. You lied to your faces. That wasn't even mentioned this morning. They defended him despite his despicable acts and his despicable conduct. And with all witnesses, Mr. Lewin carried it to them like they were serial killers. And I mean 12 and Lou Levin. They were the polar opposites of Levin in every way. How they conducted themselves, how they answered questions. They weren't argumentative. They weren't disrespectful. They were compliant and they were responsive to both sides. To both sides. Compare those human beings to what you saw the week before that. They weren't belligerent. They didn't throw water bottles. They didn't curse. I mean, really, who couldn't answer any question straight, admitted to lying, and when he didn't admit to lying, got impeached with prior inconsistent statements. I'm not going to go through them all. When you know the truth and when you tell the truth, you don't have to rehearse the truth. You don't have to get your memory refreshed. You don't have to be reminded of the truth when you know the truth and tell the truth. You don't have to be coached on the truth by the prosecutors. You don't have to have someone telling you how to answer questions, like Relly was told in this case. You always get the truth right when you tell the truth. All witnesses answered every question without incident, without problem. They were consistent. They didn't get tripped up once. There was not one inconsistency. So the response to that is to be coached very well. Then you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, I guess. Because if they had been caught up and tripped up and been inconsistent, their truth was inconsistent, well then they're liars, or they weren't consistent. But because they were so consistent and they didn't get impeached, they couldn't lay low on them. Oh, they must have been coached. They were not coached, they were consistent because they were telling the truth. You saw their demeanor. They both told you, Lou and Twelve, both told you he previously carried a problem for that 6-month period. After being the victim of acts of violence. And Rocky had him on November 6, 2021. And now Rocky's friends knew he had friends. They didn't announce it to the world. Of course, that would be stupid to say, put a social media post out, carry a prop gun. In case you want to attack me, it's really only prop gun. No, Lou said, and 12, he said, it was an immediate group of friends. The prosecution peppered 12 with questions about his summary of what he told us, the lawyers. As if that summary contained his prior sworn testimony or prior recorded statements, but it didn't. That's why the judge said it was irrelevant to what 12 saw in that document.
That's the improper argument for.
Repeat that. That's why the judge said it's irrelevant what 12 saw in that summary document. Irrelevant.
That is the improper argument.
Instead, the summary was simply something that lawyers have to provide as procedural discovery in this case. Look, when I hear this, they're going to try and pretend like we just came up with this prop gun defense. Rocky has been saying that since day one. Here's the testimony of Detective Flores on this petition. Detective Flores was asked, was this something, when he was asked, because he was asked on direct about when did he first find out about the prop gun defense? And he said, there were no deposition in criminal cases with the question before. Then I said, all right. So basically, what you were being asked when we're talking about that, he just found out about this prop gun. What you're being asked are questions related to discovery disclosure in a criminal case, correct? And he said, yes. So Detective Flores, who was very honest, and I think he tried to do a good job here, told you what that was about. See, if you just listen to the direct in this case, it would make it sound like only 2 weeks ago, oh, there was prop gun. That's been since day one for Rocky. Discovery in a criminal case is what he was being asked about. I mean, you also heard that it was revealed before jury selection, the day, I think, before jury selection, no, sorry, the day before opening statements, that we got a ballistics report from them that was done over a year before. The day before opening statements, after you guys were a panel. Okay. Whatever. He goes crying and screaming. A year after they did it, Detective Flores said, we got it after you guys were back in 2025. Detective Zizzo, Sergeant Zizzo, now former police officer Zizzo, said on the witness stand, yeah, we may have missed it. We didn't search the whole street. I said, really? Looking at his report, like, when did you say that for the first time? He said, today, this morning, he told them that for the first time. Okay. I'm saying, oh, they just came up with it. This is real life. This is a trial. This is what happens. Sometimes witnesses remember things later, sometimes they don't. But I'm not accusing anyone of perjuring themselves like police officer Zizzo, because he just remembered that today, 5 years later. You know? I mean, it's sort of odd. 5 years after that, he remembers they may have missed it. But that's okay. Look, more importantly, as Shelby told you, what he testified to here in this courtroom is what he told us previously and what he saw that night. Period. He was consistent, he was credible, unlike Relly, who actually contradicted his own recorded statements, and unlike Relly, who actually contradicted his prior sworn testimony over and over again. He committed perjury, he bragged about committed perjury. And the fact that the prosecution tried to make you believe that a summary was Trump's actual statement when it wasn't. It's a game. It's another example of a game. Here's another one. The prosecution asked Colby, how even was a prop gun if he never spoke to Rocky about it? That was completely misstating what Colby said on direct testimony. Completely. Colby didn't say he never spoke to Rocky about it. He said the opposite. He said they did speak about it prior to November 6, 2021, in September of 2021 in Harlem at that governor's ball thing. And after he first saw it at the DMV video, he said they spoke about it. But he was ripped apart. Dude, never spoke to Rocky about that, you said. He didn't say that. Well, the games they played with 12B, you heard this one. You heard Detective Flores tell you that before 2 weeks ago, neither he nor any member of law enforcement ever tried to reach out to 12. 2025. This event happened in 2021. Before 2 weeks ago, before January of 2025, neither he, the lead detective in this case, or any member of law enforcement tried to reach out to 12. They knew who he was, obviously. But that still didn't prevent Mr. Lewin from asking 12 if before those last 2 weeks, didn't you get a message from us? Didn't you get a message from us? No, Mr. Lewin, you didn't get a message from me. Detective Flores already cleared that up pretty clearly. He didn't get a message from you. They knew he didn't contact 12. They knew he didn't try to contact 12 before 2 weeks ago. But he asked him that question. Wanted to give a false impression that somehow 12 ignored a message? That somehow 12 ignored a message? Oh, I'm sorry.
Disparaging counsel. Yeah, there cannot be any disparaging, personal attacks.
So it's not a personal attack. The question was asked that.
There are,
Okay,
do not debate with me.
Sorry.
About a ruling.
Yep.
Objection sustained. Go ahead.
okay. Well, you heard the testimony. You saw what happened. You figured out what it was all about. But 12 was asked, didn't you get a message from us in the past? When Detective Flores said, no one left him a message. No one tried to reach him. So I don't want to disparage anyone, but you just got to ask yourself, why was that question asked if it didn't happen? Look, you know, what I said, the games, they're a constant theme in this trial. Here's another one. Prosecution asked 12 about photos taken in Rocky's bedroom, which showed Rocky's registered firearms and not a prop gun there. Those photos were taken during a search of Rocky's residence in April of 2022. 5 months after the incident on East Lamar in November of 2021. 5 months later. So the fact that there was a prop gun there means absolutely nothing. You heard about the prop gun way before that. And here's this also. Think about this. And why was there no prop gun in the house? You heard why Rocky, for that 5-6 month period, carried a prop gun on advice of security. Because he'd been subject to episodes of violence. He had a stalker. His face was slashed. And home invasion, okay? But he'd been subject to violence. On the street, he didn't have a carry. So when he wasn't with security, he had this thing to hopefully deter people. At home, he had licensed firearms. Now, because a prop is meant to deter would-be attackers, if they're already in his home, much less in his bedroom, they aren't would-be attackers anymore. They're in fact attackers. And a prop gun would be useless there, obviously. Also, with the registered guns found at Rocky's house, I guess the Flores, if they were legally registered to Rocky, and they objected. They objected to that question.
No, that's an improper argument.
Well, those in fact were registered to Rocky, legal. Others were registered to Lou, legal. Everything in that house was legal and given back to Lou Levin, who was there at the time of the search. They mocked Lou like he must have made that. Not just Lou's magazine, the guns were legal too. They were, two of them were, one of them was Lou's, and two was Rocky's. You heard that from the paper. It was legal and registered. Detective Flores made it clear that the weapons found in Rocky's home were legal. So there should have been no dispute over that at all. Search for the truth is what this should be about. I'm trying to win at all costs. It's not a game. It's not a game certainly to him and his family. It's not a game. In fact, the prosecution did absolutely nothing, ladies and gentlemen, to impeach the testimony of Roland. Nothing. Yeah, he got loud, yelled at them a little. But saying liar, liar, pants on fire is not impeachment. He didn't move them off their story once. They were consistent. They stayed exactly consistent with their story the entire time because the truth is easy to remember. The truth is easy to tell. They were not impeached, not once. The fact of the matter is, by the way, it wasn't lack of trying. I mean, they were yelled at, they were berated. I mean, at one point, 12 spoke a dialect from his upbringing, from the streets where he's from. And he said this thing, and I personally, he's one of the nicest guys I've ever seen. He said this thing where he's like, "You feel me? You feel me?" And that was just a matter of speed. But Mr. Lewin had to take that. He said, "No, I don't feel you. I don't know what you mean. I feel you. I can't feel you."
It's an improper argument.
Overruled.
No need to mock a witness who came in here and was compliant and respectful. No, they were grilled both 12 weeks, and they were grilled about many, many things, including the financial motives of being here. Again, they don't contradict their testimony. I mean, Mr. Preslomic this morning spent a lot of time in their testimony, not about their misstatements or their inconsistencies or contradictions or their impeachments, but just repeated their testimony, but in a sarcastic voice, as if that makes it not true. That's not proof. That's definitely not proof beyond reasonable doubt. So anyway, the financial motive that they were both crushed on in their cross-examinations, 12 being Lou. 12 said zero. He makes zero from him. Rocky, nothing. He's got his own career, actually, pretty well. Lou said he makes a portion of his salary from Rocky, and he does, and he loves Rocky. They both love Rocky. So no one's trying to pretend their peers unbiased with it, so they love it. But it's an interesting thing, though, that they were so concerned about his both of their financial motives. Not once did the prosecution take issue with the fact that their own witness, Relly, was here because of his financial motivation, and only his financial motivation. A $30 million financial motivation. But they're asking Lou Levin, won't you get 20% of your salary from him? Or that poor IT guy who had to fly from Paris to get it. You made $20,000 last year from him, huh? I mean, that guy's looking $30 million for that. No disgrace. By the way, Relly got his $30 million that he wanted, that he said repeatedly. They had no witness in this case, as you now know, because he'd be on islands somewhere relaxing while they were searching for him. Instead, Relly wants to use law enforcement as a money collector. Because he didn't care about the police. You heard him say that many times. And if he got his money, police has to go pound sand. They'll never find him. He's going to be on an island. And he told you how that process works. I didn't hear that thing. But talk about extraordinary bias that they just want to ignore. They don't mention that. It can't be, and it shouldn't be. but it's why we're here in this courtroom. It's why we're all here. What else should be ignored? Despite all the prosecution's efforts, despite the blistering questions posed to them, both Twelby and Lou established these incontrovertible facts. They're not controversial, they're not contested. That Rocky was known to carry a property by his friends. They didn't controvert that at all. The object in his hands on November 6, 2021 was a pump gun. Relly's own actions on November 6, 2021 confirmed that. Twelby testified during the first altercation. Relly said something to the effect of, shoot that big ass gun, which explains his later conduct, by the way. Now, Relly said he didn't say that. So, now you have to say, who's more credible, more trustworthy, Twelby or Relly?
Yo, D
Exactly,
Stacks
yeah.
is a very important person here in this chat. Make sure y'all say what's up to my boy. Hey,
And
D.
consistent with his knowledge that it was a fake gun, look what he did after the first altercation, which is impossible to get around for them. The first altercation by the parking garage, where he's claims he's pulled a gun, is pulled on a real gun that he doesn't know is a fake gun. He continues to follow the guy who pulls the real gun and according to him, threat to kill him. So think about that for a second when you talk about a reasonable doubt or a doubt based on reason. Think about that. That was so odd. I mean, he said, yeah, the guy pulled out a gun on me. I thought it was a real gun and threatened to kill me. So after he walked away, I decided to follow him. I don't follow him, berate him as I'm following him. Almost begging him to shoot me. Well, let's see Detective Flores, but anyway, Detective Flores told what he thought about that. He testified. He said, that would be an odd thing for Relly to do. It's testimony from his trial. Mr. Efron, on December 2021, you asked him why he continued to follow Mr. Mayers if he knew he had a gun, right? Answer yes, Detective Flores. Question, because according to you, you told him that would seem to be an odd thing to do, right? Or odd thing to do, I'd say, right? And Detective Flores said yes. Of course it's an odd thing to do if you know it's a real gun. Not so much an odd thing to do if you think it's a fake gun or a pump gun. And of course, when Relly was questioned about why he would do that, about being an odd thing to do, his answer was, according to Detective Flores' question about it, Relly said, I don't know. That was his answer to Detective Flores early on in the question. When you asked Mr. Efron why did he continue to follow Mr. Mayers after seeing the gun, what he said was he didn't know why. So, Detective Flores, and he said correct. Detective Flores questioned him about it, and the best Relly could do at that point, he said, I don't know, I followed him. Obviously, I don't know was all Relly could say because he knew he couldn't tell the truth. That was a problem. He knew that. That alone is reasonable doubt. That is a reasonable doubt. Whew. That's it. Just name one. This one.
That's an improper shape of the line.
In fact, the lack of evidence further shows that this was a prop. And you heard that the police found absolutely no evidence of a shooting at the scene whatsoever. Officer Zizzo told you that there was no sign of a shooting, there was no blood, no bullet holes, no shell casings, no physical evidence at all. That's from the testimony at this trial from you from Officer Zizzo. Just recap. There was no blood, no bullet holes, no, sir, no shell casings, no physical evidence of a shooting was recovered at all. No, sir. So that was the guy who was there within 15.
And y'all, this is why I feel like this is probably like the strongest part of his argument to me. I didn't particularly like his closing, I'll be honest with y'all, but I do feel like this part right here, he was doing Rocky some justice. He's reiterating that the police came. There's no evidence of any shots. There's no other damage. Nothing was hit. This is what the police, this is what the police is saying. I do think that it still poses the question. Well, the question is still out there about where are the shell casings that would have came out of a prop gun. But I do think just this little segment here that Takapina is about to go into, I think was his strongest part of his argument.
Minutes. When you heard from the body cam footage from one of the other responding officers, turned out to be Sergeant John Cook, Officer Zizzo said. Sergeant Cook said, there's going to be no evidence for now. We have no victims, no hits, no evidence. That's the sergeant. Body cam footage, that's Officer Zizzo's testimony. Also captured on Sergeant Cook's body cam footage is him saying, as of now, or no victims as of now, unless it pops up in the hospital, probably just a warning shot. That's testimony in front of you all in this trial. Again, so no victims as of now, unless it pops up in the hospital, it's probably just a warning shot, right? That's what he said. Sergeant Zizzo said to us. Well, Sergeant Cook was close. It was actually 2 warning shots from the prop gun. Ladies and gentlemen, the prosecution cannot prove otherwise beyond a reasonable doubt. They cannot. Beyond a reasonable doubt. Not without Relly being totally believable. Not without Relly being totally believable. And he is not working believable. I don't think I need to spend much time arguing that. That's why, in addition to asking him about November 6th, 2021, which we spent some time doing, we spent so much time questioning him about his credibility. And I'm sorry he was on the witness stand for 5 days. The reason he was on the witness stand for 5 days, I was only 2 total days with him. But the reason he was here that long is because he didn't answer questions. Like, the questions had to be asked on cross anyway. 3, 4 times, the judge had to get involved. That's why he was here so long. Well, because without him, when he questioned his credibility, it's not because I was having fun speaking to him. I wasn't. But when you question his credibility, it's because his credibility is at issue. Because without him and his credible testimony, the prosecution has 0 evidence of a shooting. They even had to prove, they have 0 evidence to prove that it was an operable gun, let alone shooting. Consider that. What's the prosecution's evidence that the object in Rocky's hand on November 6, 2021 was not brought them? What's their evidence? Relly's shell casings. Okay, for those. Relly's knuckle scrapes. And the videos from the parking garage at 1616 Vista Del Mar and 6200 Hollywood Boulevard. But remember what Detective Flores said about those videos. First, he said, there's no evidence from 1616 Vista Del Mar of an actual gun being discharged. I asked him that question, and he said, correct. From that view by itself, no. Well, that's the only view we have of 1616 Vista Del Mar, that video. And they're all there and so forth. Then, second, I said the only time you could see a gun in any video was the parking garage video. And in that one, you can't tell if it's operable, whether it's operable gun or real gun or not, right? Detective Flores? And he was honest.
Shout out to my boy D Wood, always supporting the channel, y'all. Thank you.
You first cited the fact the gun was displayed, right? Which you already told this jury that gun that was displayed, the only time you could see a gun in any video was the parking garage video, correct? You already told this jury, by that video, you can't tell if it's operable, right? Correct. So if he can't tell it's operable, how are you supposed to do it? If the Flores can't tell you it's operable, how are you supposed to tell it's operable? You have to believe Riley's story. All of it. And his credibility. Then, third, what else to have without Riley? sounds, those two sounds. Okay? The gunshot sounds heard at the 6200 Hollywood Boulevard video could have been made by some kind of replica firearm, according to Detective Flores. He said, aside from a gun, I asked him, what else could make those sounds? An operable gun, I should say. And then he said, the sound I heard off the camera, I mean a firearm, some kind of replica firearm. He also acknowledged that a replica firearm could also make that sound, a starter pistol could make that sound. That's Detective Flores. It's a case detective. Let that sink in for a moment, folks. Please. The prosecution's case detective told you the sound that they rely on to prove that Rocky had an operable firearm that night. Beyond a reasonable doubt, could have been made by a non-operable product. That's it. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's all you need right there. In other words, the videos in and of themselves don't prove that what Rocky had was an operable firearm beyond a reasonable doubt. The case detective believes that. What else does the prosecution have to rely on? Willie's knuckle scrapes. But even they don't believe that's a gunshot wound. What they said in their opening statement about Willie's knuckle scrapes. Perhaps they were bullet graze, perhaps they were not. Well, perhaps they were not. That's what they want you to accept as proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Perhaps they were not. What else did they say in their opening about those scrapes? Whether the victim or not the victim in this case was actually shot or injured by this will not be something that you will have to decide at the end of this case. They told you in opening statements. Really? Says who? Says who? They told you that because they themselves don't believe those knuckles.
I've already read the jury instructions to you, and one of those jury instructions lists the elements of what assault with a semi-automatic pistol is. Each of those elements have to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. What those elements are, that is the law in California, is to what an assault with a semi-automatic pistol is.
One of the objections is actually to what you said what the prosecution wants you to do.
Overruled. That part's overruled.
But anyway, regarding the law, this is not about an element of the law, ladies and gentlemen. This is about the credibility of the only witness in this case for the prosecution. That's what that argument was about. About the credibility. I mean, you have to. So whether it was a bullet shot or not, or a scrape from the floor, it does matter. It does matter. Of course, they don't want you to consider that. Because first, whether Relly was truthful about his injury goes to his credibility. Credibility, not about the elements of the law. It goes to his credibility, whether he's truthful about the nature of the injuries. And second, whether or not Relly was actually injured by a bullet is something important to consider in deciding whether Rocky had an operable firearm or a prop gun. Those are the two reasons I just brought that up to you. Those are the two reasons. So I disagree with you. You do have to consider whether he was hit by a bullet or not, because he said he was. At first, anyway. It was obviously a prop gun can't cause that injury. So was that a gunshot wound? Of course not. Of course that wasn't a gunshot wound. Even Relly couldn't tell you those scrapes were definitely from a bullet. At least at trial, couldn't tell you. Look at this testimony when discussing whether he was grazed by a bullet. I guess whatever is left from the bullet or the floor or whatever, I don't know. I can't see. Okay. So it's either what was left from the bullet or the floor. Well, I guess it could have been the floor. I don't know. I can't see. That's not what he said in his lawsuit. His lawsuit, he said the shot. And he went for $30 million because he was shot. Now maybe it was a fraud. I mean, does the truth mean anything to him? Does an oath mean anything at all? And he really doesn't believe what he said to you at the beginning. I can say whatever I want, do whatever I want. That's that. And that's what they want you to accept as proof beyond a reasonable doubt of the truth. Relly said it could have been the floor. Of course it was the floor. When he was punching Gills, of course it wasn't the floor. It's on his left hand. Relly said he was left. But regardless, there's no bullet in the world that could have done that. I mean, think about it. It scrapes the top of one knuckle, does a bit of a dive to the second knuckle, does a real deep dive to that third knuckle, and then scoots along. And that would be one heck of a magic bullet to do that. Just looking at those knuckle scrapes, no one has to be an expert in anything to know they are not from a bullet. You want to put them up for a second? Yeah. Bullet. $30 million. Keep it. There's no one with eyes in the brain that thinks that's a bullet wound. That's what he said. Raised my weight. Now he said bullet floor. Bullet floor. I mean, he still brought a lawsuit against Rocky, claiming he required necessary medical attention from that bullet wound. Bullet wound, like he said. Ridiculous. And it, by the way, it's the same knuckles you saw in his boomerang Instagram video we posted on his manicured hands, which I think we showed to the jury. We have that. Go ahead. That's a permanent injury that only $30 million would take care of. He first told the police that he treated scrapes by himself the day they occurred. That's what Officer Anderson testified to. But then days later, after traveling all the way back to New York cross country, he first went to a hospital in New York for medical treatment. Here, he said, because he doesn't trust anything that in Los Angeles. Why did he go to the hospital in New York? Not because he required medical treatment for those scrapes, but because the detective on November 9th, 2021, told him during an interview that he needs to get treated because this is the type of case this is. Here's Detective Fuller's testimony. Her statement, Detective Matthew, was that he needs to go to get medical treatment because of the type of case that this is, correct? I believe that's correct. So a detective is telling him on November 9th, you need to go to a hospital to get treated because of the type of case that this is? Normally, tell someone to go to the hospital because they need medical attention, not the manufacturer of a case. That is offensive, and it should be offensive to you because the type of cases that you should go to the hospital. Make it look like you required a hospital visit. You know, it's bad enough that the prosecution may, and I say only witness, manufactured evidence in this case. You don't need to manufacture a hospital visit. But he did just have shell casings also, manufactured evidence in this case. The only evidence they presented to try and establish that Rocky had an operable firearm. I'm going to take you through this. It's not a stretch, and certainly it's multiple reasons of doubt in this. You heard a lot about those showcases in this case. What you didn't hear was what the police was at the police found. You didn't hear that because that didn't happen. The body cam footage introduced at the very beginning of this case, first witness Officer Zizzo showed that the police responded to that scene at 10:32, less than 15 minutes after the incident. Officer Zizzo told you there were 7 police officers there. You saw them on the body cam video. You saw, Officer Zizzo told you, 7 officers were searching the scene for any signs of a shooting with flashlights. Those big police searchlights. For how long? Detective Flores told you, about 20 minutes they were there for searching. That's 7 minutes. 7 officers times 20 minutes. That's 140 minutes of manpower right there. 7 officers for 20 minutes of trained police officers searching with flashlights for any signs of a shooting, including showcases. They found nothing, absolutely nothing. You heard the stipulation at the end. The stipulation means we, the defense and the prosecution, at the end of the case, just before the judge's instructions the other day. It's Tuesday, right? It's the last day of Tuesday. What?
All right, y'all. The jury is coming in. So we are about to get started with the rebuttal. I anticipate John Lewin to do this rebuttal, so I know it's going to be full of theatrics, y'all. I know we are in for a show. Let's place a little wager. Is John Lewin going to yell today? Is he going to yell at the jury, or is he going to keep his composure? I think it's going to be very interesting to see. As mentioned, y'all, I didn't 100% love Mr. Tacopina's closing argument. I don't really like his style when he speaks, so I wasn't a fan of that, but I do feel like he had a section there where he really did a really good job defending Rocky in his final argument. So I got to give credit when credit is due. He did his thing, but we shall see what he is up against or what that argument is up against today. I can't say if Tacapinas was extremely memorable outside of the fact that, like, now that we've slept on it, right? Outside of the fact that Lewin was again acting crazy, like purposefully yelling out things in front of the jury when he knew that he shouldn't. So let's see what happens.
Talk about it. No, thanks. All right, we're back on the record. All jurors, counselor, jurors, counsel, parties are present. Mr. Tacopina, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Taco has a little bit left.
Here we go. So pick up where I left off, which was talking about the picture of the extended magazine that we showed you, which described as clear or transparent, whatever it was not black. That extended thing that Lou and both photos had described. So in the end, the prosecution on this issue, all issues really want you to believe really beyond a reasonable doubt, and but you've all been here for his testimony. I would submit to you that perhaps the most unbelievable witness in the history of American jurisprudence. You guys have a front row seat to a perjury machine. Again, they could have corroborated a lot of his testimony if it were truthful. Lydia Parker. I mean, they sat in their hands for years. They could have tested to see if Relly's shell casings came from that magazine, Women's magazine. They didn't connect Rocky Relly's shell casings with fingerprints DNA. And as a quick aside, if you accept their theory, I think I heard this on the opening summation, is that maybe Rocky forgot about the magazine. Why wouldn't he? Truly, he had a gun, and he was trying to get rid of the evidence of a shooting from November 6th. Why wouldn't he have got rid of the magazine also? Why keep it for 5 months in plain sight? I mean, that's where it was, right? It's not like it was hidden somewhere in the house. They had to find it. It was in a box in his bedroom with all the other ammunition for the legally registered guns in plain view. They didn't show you, by the way, the shell casings that really claims he recovered at the scene don't match the 6 shell casings found in Rocky's house that belonged to Ms. Levin. We had to show you that. We showed you that. They produced, as we talked about, no GPS data to prove where really got his shell casings from. There's another one. This would have been easy to do. Really claims first he said he wasn't in Los Angeles weeks before. I'm certain not a shooting range week. Won't go through that again. But he claimed he left Los Angeles after being at the shooting range for those 9mm shell casings, and then he came back to Los Angeles 2 weeks later. They failed to prove that. I mean, you just have his word, right? That would have been easy enough to prove. I mean, how about an airplane ticket or anything else that he ever left Los Angeles and flew back, ever? After having 9mm shell casings flying to his face at a shooting range just weeks before. You took photos of his shell casings. I mean, that would have been an easy one to prove. Just bring his travel itinerary or an airplane ticket from Delta or wherever. He said he flew commercial. How about on his phone? Anything that would show he actually left Los Angeles. Nothing on the record. No evidence that he actually left Los Angeles after being at that shooting range on October 19th. So where did he get his shell casings from? At 11:45 p.m. that night, an hour and a half after the incident. Law enforcement didn't give us the means to answer that question. They never got Relly's GPS data. They could have given a definitive answer to you. They didn't, and that's not on him. That is not on him, because they didn't give you the evidence you could have been comfortable with to rely on, as opposed to just taking Relly's word, which is not a word that you take of anything of importance in anyone's life. Whether he had him at some apartment in Los Angeles or at some friend's car or some place, who knows? We'll never know. We could have known, but we don't, and we never will. Because the prosecution gave you no one in this courtroom the ability to track where Relly went in the hour and a half after the incident. Only Ill's GPS data did we get. It shows they could get it, they just didn't get his. They just want us to take his word on that, word of the pathological lie. Look at all the things they failed to corroborate that they could have. To corroborate Efron's account, they could have done any of the following. And we're giving you a sense of comfort, a sense that, hey, you know what? He did tell the truth about this anyway. They could have called Efron's girlfriend, Libby Parker, who was allegedly with Efron when he claims he retrieved the shell casings. They could have collected GPS data from that night from Efron's phone to prove he returned to the scene. Again, they did leave it for Ill's phone, but chose not for Efron. To look at the metadata on the photographs that Efron took of these shell casings, which would have shown exactly where he was when he took those photos. These are things they could have done to corroborate him. Go ahead. They could have produced a plane ticket or receipt to show that Efron actually left Los Angeles after he went to a shooting range 2 weeks before the incident. They didn't do that. They could have called this Asap Bari to corroborate the conversation that he allegedly had, that allegedly happened on November 5th, the day before the incident, with Bari and Rocky, in which Relly claims Rocky badmouthed him. No phone records of that, nothing. Then, of course, they could have tested Efron's casings to see if they came from the magazine found at Rocky's house prior to the trial. Of course, they could have tested Rocky's DNA against those casings or the magazine, and they did neither. Those are just some of the things. I mean, those are deficiencies in the evidence, and they create reasonable doubts. They're reasonable doubts. And especially when you consider what Relly did with the photos of those shell casings. He didn't go running to the police saying, hey, help, I was a victim of a crime. He tried to extort money out of Rocky, like when Rocky and his manager first. And I want to remind you that there are 2 hurdles the prosecution has to overcome to get conviction in this case. First, proving that Rocky did not carry the crop gun. And then, of course, service, if they can't do that beyond a reasonable doubt, not even close. And then, of course, the judge's instructions told you, you should stop right there if you find that and find him not guilty. But also the judge instructed you that regardless of whether he possessed a prop gun or not, you must find him not guilty if the prosecution had not disproved that he acted in self-defense or defense of another beyond reasonable doubt. And in this case, there is clear evidence of self-defense on another. And by the way, I heard Mr. Roseman say in his summation, that's a new defense. It's not a new defense. We talked about in our summation in our opening statement a month ago. The judge gave me the instruction on it, not because he was doing me a favor. The judge gave me the instruction on it because there's a view of the evidence that supports it. Right there, but you shouldn't even get to self-defense. But it's there. It's another layer that they have to overcome beyond a reasonable doubt. And Rutherford was the aggressor. There's no question. In their opening statement, they said Rocky was the aggressor. Rocky was the one who sought confrontation, and they did everything possible at the trial to make you believe that. Right from the beginning, they played their video of 16 East Belmore, which captured the incident. But they intentionally left something out of that. When they claimed that Relly used ills as a human shield, what they did not want you to see was after it was all done and Rocky's out of the picture and Relly's already running out, they cut Relly running back towards Ills and attacking Ills again. So the human shield thing is no longer there. Everyone's out of the picture. And Relly goes back and takes one more parting shot at Ills to the left before he goes off to the right. They cut that out of it. Of course, they don't want you to see that. That's very damning to their case. They actually cut it out of the video and show that. What else did they want you to see or hear? The first shot actually occurred on the 1616 DC Del Mar video, which is why Detective Flores' testimony established that they mistimed the first shot. Remember, Detective Flores talked about this. As opposed to our video, which you know is the accurate timing based on two things, your eyes and 12. It's not a game. There's way too much at stake. His life is at stake. It's not a game. Detective Flores gave us uncomfortable testimony in that regard. Okay. It was a rough estimate, he said. They tried. That's not good enough. Give you a living example how their timing was off by a full second. I showed you the video where one thing said 8 seconds, yet the video was 9 seconds. I think, of course, yeah, it was. But I didn't make it. I didn't make the video. Let's go through the evidence that shows that Relly, not Rocky, was the aggressor. And look, you can look at 3 things to show that. Communications, intent, and actions. So I want to just quickly get through that and then move on. But communications, intent, and actions. Let's start with communications. The prosecution wants you to believe that the events on November 6, 2021 started the day before when Relly claimed he was in the car with ASAP Bari and supposedly heard Rocky say, at that end, Relly, I'll beat him up. First of all, I don't think Rocky is going to say he's going to beat Relly up in any lifetime. He's not, I mean, I think Relly even made fun of him, made fun of his manhood, told him some derogatory names. He's not a gangster, he's not, certainly he's not thinking he's beating Relly up. And what's the proof of that? What's the proof of that conversation that started it all, that showed Rocky's the aggressor? No text messages, no phone records, no recorded statements, no other witnesses. And of course, the one guy who heard it, ASAP Bari, who Relly said is still good friends with. They haven't brought him in here. Say, yeah, that's what Rocky said. So we just have to take Relly's word now. Just his word. There's so many reasons you can't just take his word on anything. You saw him lie over and over to you. Over and over. It became a joke. It was offensive in a joke. It's not funny. including about this very issue about being the aggressor you like you are. And they embraced his position on that. They embraced it. Remember what they showed you in their opening statement, text messages from Rocky Torelli on the way to the Playboy Cardi concert on November 6th, 2021 at 9:34. WYA is where you're at, where you at. Let's get to it, stop talking my calls. They showed you this. That's the, I think it's People's Exhibit 13. I have that right. They showed you that. They wanted you to believe that these were sinister messages and that Rocky therefore was the aggressor. First of all, you heard from 12-year-old Jamel Phillips, who said that there was nothing aggressive about these messages. He heard the calls. They were late for this Playboy Cardi concert, whatever that is, and they were trying to connect with Relly. But what else did you learn? When the prosecution showed you those texts, they wanted you to believe that those were the first messages of November 6, 2021. What you learned was that Relly deleted the messages before that. The early messages that showed Relly's true character, his true animosity, his true aggression towards Rocky, his true intentions of meeting Rocky that night. He deleted messages before giving his phone to the police. On November 6, 2021, at 10:30 a.m., Relly texts Rocky first, saying this. Exhibit P. You got all this fake animosity towards me, LOL, beat me up, and I wish you would. Give me a reason, and you've been, whatever. You see what it says, I don't have to read that word. Relly made it clear he wanted a reason to fight Rocky. He made it clear there. Matter of fact, his testimony made it clear. He said, from his trial testimony, what do you say under that vote? Give me a reason, he answers. And then I say, a reason to do what? To fight you, or whatever, at this point. So when he says, give me a reason, he's explaining what that meant to fight Rocky. Those were the first messages of the evening. You didn't see that. They presented the other messages from Rocky as the only messages that day. And that one wasn't their fault, because their witness lied to them, lied to the police, and deleted messages. Destroyed evidence in this case, which he's fond of doing. And when I asked Relly if he deleted those messages before turning his phone over to law enforcement, he lied to you at first. It was a big shocker to me. At first he said, I don't recall. Then I showed him the messages. What did he say next? His go-to line. You see those messages? It's fake. It's fake. Anything that crushed him was fake. It's fake. You heard that a lot from him at this trial when confronted with his own words, whether text or recorded conversations. It's fake. But he openly admitted he sent those texts to Rocky that day. But obviously he didn't like the way it would have looked to the police. He chose him to be the aggressor. So it didn't fit his narrative. So what did he do? Well, deleted them. What other communications were there? We're on communication still, leading up to the November 6th altercation. You saw text messages from Relly to his friend Ty Y on October 16, 2021. And Relly was in LA, as we know. And he said, if Rocky don't, this is an exhibit, if Rocky don't do shit for this boy funeral, I'ma beat that end up. So he's now threatening to beat Rocky up because he didn't think you heard what that was all about this ASAP member, ASAP Josh, who passed away. Rocky stepped up and paid the lead. Why did he going back to New York and the funeral expenses for the family? For some reason, Relly, someone just thought, well, Rocky didn't take care of that. So he would take it back. He did, he learned. So Relly sent that message on October 16th, threatening to beat Rocky up. Of course, when I first showed him that message, they objected. Not sure why that's his message, because they didn't want you to see that. Threatening to beat Rocky up. And why? Why did that not be relevant for you to see? It's offensive. That is offensive. That we had to bring that to you. Relly's willingness to lie to you over and over again without regard to his oath to tell the truth is offensive. When I asked Relly if he sent that message to, if he sent the message about beating up Rocky, he lied again. Falling back on his usual answers, I don't recall. I don't recall if I sent it. So when I showed him in his response, look at his response here. What am I looking at in his text messages? He said, what? It's hard to read that for you guys, it's hard to read it for me. But what he says, what am I looking at? That text? I don't recall that. I don't remember that. I wouldn't even write that, he said. And that's at the bottom of that red box. I wouldn't even write that. And when I explained to him that the text was given to us from his phone, from the district attorney's office, he changed his answer to, this means nothing. Even if it was okay, yes. I mean, just like that. Just like that. From, I don't write that. I don't write like that, to, sir, this was given to us from your cell phone from the district attorney's office. Are you saying that's not yours? This means nothing. Even if it was, okay, yes. So in a matter of 5 seconds, he went from, that's not me, I don't write like that, to, oh, they gave it to us from my phone. Okay, yes, it is. That's perjury, ladies and gentlemen, that's perjury. Again, that's a crime, by the way, perjury. So I then asked Relly, if in that message that he sent, if the N-word in his text message, I'm gonna beat that N up, referred to Rocky. And you know what his answer was? I don't recall. Seriously. The message said, if Rocky don't do shit for this boy funeral, I'm gonna beat that N up. So why did he say I don't recall? Because he knew that that message showed his animosity towards Rocky, it showed his aggression, and it showed his intent. That's why we had to bring that message up to you. We had to show you that. That didn't come on direct. His intent, number 2. Relly's message made clear that he was the aggressor. They give you a little window into his intent, but so is his testimony. When I asked him if he was upset in his belief that Rocky didn't follow through on his promise to pay for A$AP Justice's funeral, Relly suddenly didn't know what the word upset meant. That's literally what he said. I don't know what the word upset means. So I showed him his prior sworn testimony at the preliminary hearing, which was also under oath. That's good for him. Question, you were upset, right? Answer, yes. So what did he do? Again, he just changed his sworn testimony in this courtroom in front of you. I said, well, no big deal. Yeah, I would be upset, he said. So the word he didn't even know what it meant a minute ago, he said, yeah, of course I was upset. His oath to tell the truth means nothing to that man. Absolutely nothing. Remember, he told you I could say whatever I want. And he showed me that time and again. When I asked him if he was, quote unquote, pissed on November 6, 2021, and he was going to meet Rocky, he once again said, I don't recall. I don't recall if I was pissed. I once more had to confront him with his prior statement to get the truth out of him, this time with a recorded statement to a district attorney, Mr. Siegel. No, Engel. Yeah, Siegel, Engel. Fred Engel from the district attorney's office back in 2022. And he said, oh yeah, I was pissed. Again, why did he first say I don't recall that he was pissed when he had said it in so many other places over the years, but he didn't want to be pissed. He knows that makes him out to be the aggressor on November 6, 2021. And we were talking specifically about November 6, 2021, when he was pissed. You know he was angry on November 6, 2021. You know, he was now pissed and upset with Rocky. We know Relly was jealous of him. He made that very clear. You heard him tell that person, Wallace, Jenny. We'll get to that in a minute. He said, I made that. He used the N-word. I made that N-word. You heard Relly criticize Rocky, saying it's been open-ended promises forever with him. Schwelder told you it wasn't true, but he was very generous. The minute he got his first record deal, he moved everyone, 20 guys from ASAP into his apartment in New York. You heard Relly complain that he couldn't be involved with Rocky in the music industry and that he wasn't even trying to be in August of 2021. But despite that, you saw messages in the group chat with Rocky, Relly, and Relly's business partner, this is Justin Benea, on August 6, 2021. You saw during that exchange, Relly trying to get Rocky to help him professionally, and Justin Benea asking him to jump on a call, which Rocky was happy to do, but apparently not fast enough for Relly. Because he didn't respond fast enough, Relly sent a message to that group chat on August 5th, 2021, saying, exactly, here it is, exactly my point, LOL. July 24th, FU and ASAP, fake ass N, effing goofy. Make no mistake about this. Relly was jealous of Rocky and his success. He wanted the world to think he was successful. I mean, that's why we went through these Instagram posts of his with his lavish lifestyle and his closet of cash and private planes and all the stuff he posted. However, the truth was anything but what he tried to make the world believe. He showed his bank accounts. I mean, he was meant to be a multimillionaire with $700,000 in bank. That was important to him. And that has to do with his jealousy and his greed. And there's no question he was jealous and angry about his success. And being as aggressive as he is, Relly, he didn't do much to hide his true feelings, except for being under oath. At least he tried first. He tried. Remember what he said about whether he would say F you to Rocky? He was actually asked by the prosecution on that one. Would you ever say F you to Rocky? And, you know, if you did, would you mean it? And he said, well, that's what he said. If I said F you, it was sort of wishy-washy with love. So he said, well, that wasn't true. Because I showed him this text to Rocky on September 18, 2021, which was him saying, no matter how much and try, you not changing. And everything about you, you fake ass N. I did hate you, sucker. I'm not even gonna read this disgusting thing, but this is what he said. This is what he said. No, he doesn't say F you to Rocky. Only wishy-washy with love. I mean, there's nothing he doesn't lie about. There is absolutely nothing he doesn't lie about. That's his level of anger. What was Relly's response when seeing that message? Look at his response. Yeah. Yeah. I said, yeah, it's from you. Okay, that's cool. That message was cool. That's what he said. That's cool. Bless you. That's cool. In which world was that message cool for anybody? That despicable message cool for anybody? It shows you who Relly is, who he was on November 6, 2021, an angry, jealous man full of hate. Third, his actions. His actions on November 6, 2021 make it clear. His actions in this courtroom make it clear. When I was questioning him, he became hostile, volatile, and aggressive. I mean, at one point he flexed his muscles. He cursed in the courtroom. That was first for me. He yelled. When he thought I was disrespecting him by asking questions, he looked like he was ready to jump off that stand. And that was in front of you in the courtroom. And just imagine what he's like in the street. It doesn't take too much imagination when his actions were caught on video. I'm going to show you that video. But he claimed he went back to the scene, by the way, to take photographs of cameras there after the incident. He said, I went back to take photographs of cameras. Well, you know, if that were true, you would have seen those photographs. They didn't show you those photographs because they don't exist. They don't exist. Apart from his word, there's absolutely no evidence that Relly ever photographed a single camera at the scene. And that's because the last thing he wanted was for the police to see what was actually happening with these altercations. Listen, folks, I have to say this to you. I just hope I haven't taxed your patience by my persistence and my zeal. Yeah, I've never learned how to talk about human liberty or human faith concisely or complacently. I just don't have that ability. I just don't have that talent. And I know I'm covering a lot of material here, but I don't know like what you need here, what you don't need here. I don't know, you know, if I'm going through something you're like, yes, we know that already, Ms. Beckby. I know you can't say it to me, but I just can't sit down with all that's on the line here and thinking I didn't cover something. So please bear with me. I know this is a long process, but this is my last chance to speak to you. And again, there's just so much riding on this that I just can't be brief. I can't cut corners here. So please accept my apology that I'm going on and on, but it's important to him. And I just don't know what's important for you guys. So please. So the one on Argyle Avenue, each of those two instances, the one on Argyle Avenue, the other one on the corner of East Del Mar, Relly was expressing both his anger, jealousy, and hate. And following through on his threat just a few weeks before about, I'm going to beat that end up. Relly's testimony about his expectations on the way to meet Rocky was clear, that he was looking for a fight. And to use Relly's words, he thought if there was going to be an altercation, quote, there would be a bit of roughing. In fact, although he again first tried to hide behind another one of his I don't recalls, he then admitted under oath that when men are angry, they fight. That's what he believes in. When men are angry, they fight. And despite his initial effort to make me believe otherwise, on November 6, 2021, we now know he was angry. You saw that anger on display. During the opening statement, the prosecution said that you see on video Mr. Mayers immediately is aggressive towards Mr. Efron. They showed you that Rocky is pushing Efron backwards as he pushes him off camera out of view. Well, let's see if that plays out. I'm going to show you this video. You can see for yourself, the first one reaching out is Efron. He's the first one to make physical contact with Rocky with his left hand. And you also heard that from Shaw. He was there. Boom. And Rocky's right hand's not even up yet. He then puts it up. And as Schwalbe told you, consistent with that video, it was Relly who grabbed him first. And in fact, Relly realized his actions in this video were a problem for him. So although he first testified that he was a lefty, while watching himself in this video, he grabbed Rocky with his left hand, he suddenly switched to being a righty. I don't remember that testimony. He said, I'm a lefty. I'm a righty. You could always ask for a read back. He switched from being a lefty to a righty. He said, I can see I was stopping a little. Like I said, I'm a lefty. I'm a righty. Whether you're left-handed or right-handed is not one of those things you forget. It's not one of those things you mix up. Why lie about that? Why try to minimize? Because the video showed him doing that, what you just saw, being the first aggressor, the one to make contact first. And despite the prosecution's promise about that video, it does not show Rocky as the one who is the aggressor or immediately grabs Relly. It doesn't. And what else does it show you? It does not show you the prosecution promised it to show you, which is Rocky pushing Relly off the screen. It shows the opposite. And I'm going to show you what I mean. You've all seen and heard about how much bigger and stronger Relly is than Rocky. Not a fact in dispute. Consistent with that, 12 told you that Relly was pulling Rocky off the screen. But you know who else told you that? Relly told you that. He told you I was pulling him. That's his testimony. For his standard operating procedure, when I first asked Relly if he was pulling Rocky back, he said he didn't recall, he didn't know. Then, after being impeached with his prior testimony once more, he heard his answer. He was walking in, I tried pulling him back. That's Relly at the preliminary hearing. He tried pulling him back, and that's what he's doing on the video. He's pulling Rocky back. During their opening statement with respect to this first incident, the prosecution also noted that Rocky produced a similar amount of pistols and pointed at Relly and said, "I'm going to kill you." Let's break that down and see what the evidence really shows. First of all, the object was not a similar amount of pistol, it was a prop gun. That's pretty clear from the evidence. Not only witness testimony, the fact that there's no evidence of shooting him. But beyond that, Rocky certainly did not point at Relly. The video shows that, and 12 told you that. In fact, based on Relly's own testimony, the object was put away when two people walked by on the street. And as a result of that, whatever Relly claims Rocky did with it, while they were off camera to the right, meaning inside that parking garage, that's a problem for them because they were off camera in the parking garage for only seconds. Not long enough for Relly to happen to him what he described happened. What does the evidence show about this? That he again lied to you, changed the story about what happened in that insert of the parking garage that's on camera. He testified here, he said, Relly said that Rocky just pointed the object at his head and his stomach, nothing more. He denied here that there was any physical contact with his body and the object. He denied that. But when he spoke to the district attorney about this in that prior recorded statement in 2022, he gave a completely different version. He said that Rocky actually pressed the barrel of the gun against his stomach and pushed. Why give a different version in this courtroom? Because when we talk about this, when you're lying, sometimes you just can't keep it straight. The truth never changes. In that regard, remember what Relly first said to the desk officer, Kirk Anderson, one of the last witnesses for the prosecution, maybe the last, when he reported this incident on November 8th, 2 days later. Officer Anderson told you that Relly said Rocky pulled out the gun from 5 to 10 feet away as he was approaching. We know that didn't happen. And that's 2 days later. The video doesn't show that happening, but of course, Relly first reported this incident. He didn't know that there was video. In other words, Relly could not say whatever he wanted to say, as he thinks. But he stopped from trying. Then he said that Rocky said during this incident, "I'm going to kill you right now." That was his words to you all. "I'm going to kill you right now." Now, folks, if someone says that to you, you're not likely to forget those words. That's going to be in your mind's eye for a long time. "I'm going to kill you right now," as they're pointing a gun. You're not going to forget them if they are truthful. If they're truthful. But when I confronted him with his prior statement to the district attorney recorded, so it couldn't be fake, only a year after the incident, in 2022, not 3.5 years later, like his trial testimony, only a year after, what did he say then about this? He told the district attorney on a recorded interview 1 year later. And then Rocky's like, he's saying something I don't remember because it was like a long time ago, and I don't remember what he was saying. First of all, it was a year later, and that was a long time ago. 3.5 years later, he remembers being given a death threat. A year later, he doesn't remember what he was saying because it was a long time ago. Again, the truth is not easy. Sorry, the truth is easy to keep straight. That's the truth. But when you're lying, when you're making up stories, you can't remember the lie all the time, and that's when these things happen. So what's Relly's explanation for completely different answer on that? What's the explanation? Here's his explanation. Here's what he told you all. When I asked him, I'm getting tired of talking to everyone, bro. That was this. I'm getting tired of talking to them. I mean, you said Rocky said he was going to kill you to this jury. A year after this incident, you said. It was too long ago, you don't remember what he said. What's the story, Mr. Efron? I'm getting tired of talking to everyone, bro. That's the answer. Just give me my 30 million, my 30 M's. I gotta get out of here. I want to talk about this. This is the man they want you to believe beyond a reasonable doubt. And I think we know from using our God-given common sense, the truth doesn't keep changing. It doesn't keep changing. You don't get inconsistent version of the truth. You don't need to memorize the truth. One last thing on this point, that first incident. You heard Twelby explain how he believed, it was his observations, how he believed the prop gun came into Rocky's hand during that first altercation. To him, anyway, to Twelby, what it looked like was that Rocky's sweatpants were falling down, and you actually do see that in the video. And that Relly was lifting him off the ground, and you see that. And that Rocky grabbed the prop gun to adjust it. It was like a little clip. That was Twelby's belief on what he saw in that chaotic moment. You have the video to watch for yourself. Along with that video, you have Twelby's testimony. And that makes this clear. Rocky was being strong-armed by Relly. No question about that. You see him being choked at one point by Relly. Twelby pointed out. He was grabbed, he was pulled, he was jostled. And under those circumstances, Rocky's actions in that brief encounter were fully justified. His Honor will give the law on self-defense. He has those sheets there, jury instructions with you, take back. They have to disprove it beyond the reasonable doubt. They can't do that. That's a very heavy burden to carry. They won't be able to carry it.
Yeah, that's an improbable.
And you know who tells you that? Not just the video, not just 12. Not just the video that you saw, not just 12. You know who else tells you it was self-defense? Relly. When Relly was talking to Wally Sajeni, at a time he didn't think he was being recorded. You know, remember the recordings he called fake. Here's what he said.
He tried to chest bump me. He tried to chest bump me and then pull out a gun for self-defense.
Well, so the guy wanting 30 million, the quote-unquote complaining witness in this case, the victim, is saying he pulled out a gun for self-defense. But somehow you are supposed to believe it wasn't in self-defense. That's his words. That was 12's words, and the video shows that. That's it. That's it. Their own so-called victim saying Rocky acted in self-defense. How could they prove otherwise beyond a reasonable doubt? They cannot. One last thing on this, when you watch the video, Rocky held the prop gun in his non-dominant left hand. You heard testimony of Rocky's right. The entire time it's his left hand. Obviously, it was never meant to be more than anything but a deterrent. That thing is in his left hand all the time. Now, unfortunately, Relly wasn't deterred there. We heard about that after the first incident. You heard what happened. He followed Rocky, 12 and Hills, all the way down to Argyle Avenue, around the corner to Selma, and then to reach Belmont. Of course, when I questioned Relly about whether he followed them, he told you that he didn't. His answer was negative. Negative. So I tried to impeach him with his prior testimony, asking him whether he just said it was incorrect that he followed him. And what did Relly do? He became belligerent with me, asking me, when was that? What are you talking about? Because you tripped me. Like, I don't understand. That was the answer to me. Relly understood full well what was happening. They understood full well what was happening. Because when I tried to question Relly about this, there was an objection saying that the word following was vague. Following was vague. Does anyone in this courtroom not understand the word following? Don't shield a witness like that. Relly said that previously under oath. They knew that. And despite efforts, you hear that. Relly, you heard it yourself. Relly testified previously after the altercation by the parking garage that he followed Rocky 12 and it was followed. So why did Relly and the prosecution fight so hard? Directly with hearing that. Because they knew that's not the act of a victim.
Yeah, that's improper.
And certainly not the one who claims to have just been knowingly assaulted with a real gun. That's not the act of a victim. That alone, folks, is another reasonable doubt that puts the nail in the coffin in this case. That is not the action of the victim. Following someone who just pulled the gun on you, according to today's recollection, and you know it's a real gun, you're following them. Not only follow them, verbally assaulting them as you follow them. We'll talk about that again soon, but right now remember what Relly did as he followed Rocky 12 Mills. Relly was livid the entire time. He told you that, as a matter of fact. He was ready to hit 12, he said. Ready to hit 12. But only after answering, this is my favorite, honestly. Were you ready to hit 12? Correct. Court said, yes, no, I don't remember, I don't know. Court was giving them options. The witness's answer was, are you ready to hit 12? Was yes, no, I don't recall, I don't know. Yes, no, I don't recall, I don't know. So, this is a game. Again, I remind everyone, this is their only complaining witness, their only witness to the events of that night, taking the witness stand, making serious accusations against somebody that have serious ramifications. You need to and get to assess his credibility. This man can give you a straight answer, not without having pulled from him, not without having the court admonish him. I mean, do you remember this one? He's telling me what to do. Literally, he was telling me what to do as I'm trying to question him. That's why he was on the witness stand for 5 days. And the court won't said, no, don't tell Mr. Patrick what to do. His job is to ask you questions. Your job is to answer questions. The guy was instructing me how I should ask or what I should be doing on while I'm questioning as he's on the witness stand. In any event, Relly openly admitted that he was ready to hit 12. And after initially denying it, Relly also admitted he told the district attorney on 2022 and 2022 that he hated ills. Here we all loved ills, told you. He told the DA 1 year later, I hated ills. Hated. So with that hatred festering in him, he followed Rocky, 12 and ills, and he screamed at all. And why did he do that? Why did he follow them all? Remember what he said about that? Because 12 put a knife away. That's why. First of all, that doesn't make sense in any world. According to Relly, he decided to follow someone who he claimed had a gun and threatened to kill him because he saw a knife being put away. That's why he said he followed. That defies common sense. Second, you heard from Officer Anderson, who testified in this trial at the end. He was the guy who was lucky enough to receive the letter on November 8th. 2021, and heard him say, well, he never mentioned anything about a knife when he first reported this to the police. Never. In fact, according to Officer Anderson, Relly told him that 12 actually tried to de-escalate the situation. That's what Officer Anderson said Relly told him 2 days later. And third, beyond that, you heard from 12 himself. And he told you it wasn't true. He didn't carry a knife. And if we don't believe, is there any real question about which of them is more believable, Relly or 12? You get to assess the credibility. That credibility is based on everything. The way they answered questions. Did they get caught lies? Were they impeached? Were they inconsistent? How was their demeanor? Yeah. Relly didn't follow Rocky 12 Mills because he saw a knife in it. He did it because he was angry and jealous. He did it because he wanted revenge. You heard what he was yelling at as he was following. He told Ills he was a crackhead. You heard that Ills does have some serious problems with that. You heard he said, 12, you live in the projects, mocking that whole thing. Like, how horrible. You're not as successful as me. You live in the projects. And that Rocky had failed us all. Think about that last line. Rocky failed us all. Like, he was his ward. That last line shows you there's no question of his anger and resentment. And the second multiplication, and those negative feelings came to a boiling point when Relly and everyone else reached that corner of Beast Del Mar. According to them, when they reached the corner of Beast Del Mar, Rocky just turned around and started firing. For no reason. He just started firing. And then Relly used Ills as a human shield, he said. The evidence shows you that's absolutely not what happened. The entire time that Relly was following Rocky, Rocky was trying to get away from him. He was verbally assaulting Rocky. Rocky never said a word. Not a word, you heard that. Relly even told you that, 12 even told you that. He was just the first one walking away. It was Relly who was acting crazy and screaming according to 12. So why would Rocky suddenly go from 0 to 100 for no reason at all, just shoot him? He wouldn't, he didn't, and it doesn't make sense. But what does make sense is what you saw for yourself on the video that we're going to show you again. And what do you see for yourself on the video? What 12 explained. That Relly was looking for a fight, as he already said. That he attacked Ills. And that Rocky fired a warning shot with a prop gun in self-defense and defense of another. And the prosecution played you a video called the sequence surveillance video. I'm going to show you that video at the end. Which placed the first shot from 6200 Hollywood Boulevard video over the 1660 Beast Del Mar video. Before Relly grabbed Ills. That video placed the first shot before Relly grabbed Ills. That was meant for stitching, because that did not happen that way. That's not what happened. You heard from Detective Flores on this. That sequence surveillance video, that's what it was called, sequence surveillance video, it was made by hand, so a little cursor bouncing around up there. And it was a rough approximation, his word, rough approximation of what happened, rough. Where every second here counts. That's a rough approximation. So when you try to put the sound into the video, it was a rough approximation. No. Rough approximation is not proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Detective. He also told you the first shot depicted would have actually occurred at a later point if the 6200 Hollywood video was fast. And what did we see the other day when he was testifying, when I cross-examined him? We looked at that video in real time. And it was really fast. It was fast. Like the floor said, oh yeah, one thing says 9 seconds, one says 8, you're right. So we know the sequence surveillance video is wrong. In fact, the detective Flores at that point distanced himself from it. He said, I was the one who made it. I didn't make it. Well, who did? I don't disbelieve Detective Flores. I know he didn't make it, but who did? Where did it come from? You were never told that. No one told you how they made it. That rough approximation that turned out to be wrong. We just threw it together, hoping that would be sufficient, that we'd all accept that as the video with the sound, and that's the time. Hoping no one would notice or catch it. We did. That's what they're trying to pass off as evidence in a crucial issue in this case. Did Rocky fire before or after Relly lunged at Ills? Because that fact changes Rocky's mindset at that moment. The prosecution wants you to believe Rocky shot first. For no reason. Out of the blue. and that Welly then dove for Ills as a human shield. That's not what happened. You heard from 12B, who looked at the enlarged video that we introduced. The one with the first shot happening after Relly lunged for Ills, after Relly hit Ills multiple times. And 12B told you, he narrated that video what actually happened. You have your eyes, you see his arm go out with that first shot. And that's when the first shot is. It's well after Relly's in full-blown attack mode on Ills. And 12B told you what happened. When the prosecution cross-examined him, they did everything possible to not let him explain what happened. Yelled at him, demanded yes, no answers. They berated him. Anything but let him explain. They did that with 12B, a compliant witness, a respectful witness, over and over. But when I asked questions of Relly, I got speeches, insults, not answers. I didn't come off. I didn't demand yes or no. If he wanted to tie the noose on his own neck, let him keep going. But they kept cutting 12B off because they didn't want you to hear what really happened.
Well, that's improper argument. Fair comment on the evidence.
From a witness who's seen. That's why the prosecution and their case detectives didn't even try to speak to 12B. For 3.5 years, they knew who it was. They knew where he lived. 3.5 years, they didn't try to speak to 12B. Yeah, two weeks before the trial started, or no, sorry, not even. As the trial started, they asked in court with the judge, do you want to speak to us? He was like, nah, I'm good. Okay, the trial had already started. He was a witness. 3.5 years, they didn't even think to reach out. But they tried to make it think otherwise. They asked Detective Flores on the rec whether 12B would agree to an interview. Detective Flores said no. That was it. No. Which would leave you with an impression I would understand that 12B was not cooperative. He didn't want to speak to him. What you learned on cross-examination that Detective Flores only first tried to speak to 12B a couple of weeks ago in 2025. Come on. I asked Detective Flores, is January 2025 the first time you tried to interview 12B about what happened on November 6, 2021? His answer was, correct. Me personally, yes. So I had to follow up that one with you personally. You say you personally. How about anyone else from the police department? His answer was, no, that would be the first time. I mean, Detective Flores seriously think I was just asking about him personally? Of course not. That was devastating for them. So I had to go through 3 layers of that. Oh, here it would be. We're putting it up in that. Why? It was off. It's a nice beach. It was a beach anyway, ladies and gentlemen. That doesn't prove it.
There it is.
Okay, that's so just so no one thinks I'm mistaken. Yeah, that's what he said. 12B would agree to be interviewed by you, and you said no, he wouldn't. Remember? Yes. Are you referring to 2 weeks ago in court here? Yes. Is that the first time you tried to interview him? Yes. So in January 2025 is the first time you tried to interview 12B about the incident that occurred on November 6, 2021? Correct. Me personally, yes. How about anyone else from your police department? Yes. No. That would be the first time, correct. Why didn't I bring that out on cross? Why? Search for the truth. Why is that not all coming out on the record? As opposed to leaving you with the impression, if I decided not to get up and cross-examine, or I was asleep, you'd be left with the impression, fairly, that 12 was not compliant, he wasn't cooperative, he didn't want to speak to me, he refused to be interviewed. That's not the case, as you see. And they've been told, 12 told you what happened. His testimony is consistent with what's seen on that video. Look, That's defense exhibit EE, and I will say this, thank God there's video. Thank God there's video, he's still on. Before you play, hold on. When I was listening to Mr. Holmes' summation, the first summation that they get, it was as if he never saw this video. This is the exact right time of what happened. Based on the video, based on 12B's testimony, based on the detective Flores saying that their video was a second too fast. You see those thrown haymakers in this video. Haymakers is an expression, punches, repeated and show it to you. Then Mr. President said in his opening statement, in his opening summation, that I said in my opening that I promised you I was going to bring in pictures of ills to show you. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't make promises I can't keep. And I will promise you, I never said that in my opening statement. As a matter of fact, they get to go again. I will not object if they put my opening statement up.
No, that's improper. Here's the sustain.
Show me anywhere where I promised pictures of ills. I never did. But that was argued to you yesterday. And why would they take pictures of Bill's bloody lip on November 6, 2021, just in case there's a trial in 2025? Okay, let's watch that defense exhibit EE. You'll see everything totally described in the video. That Relly acted as the aggressor, that he repeatedly hit Bills. Only after that, Rocky tried to defend Bills by firing the first warning shot. Sergeant Cook sort of suggested on the body cam. You see his arm extending to fire the props when you hear the sound. It's clear and obvious. You had a live witness who was also there. Let's look at it now. This is the REE. There's Rocky, there's 12B, there's Hills, and then there's Relly. And you see him going after, then boom. Second shot. You see Relly still going after Hills. Still going after Hills. Rocky's gone. 12 is about to go. Hills is stuck in the upper left-hand corner there. Watch Relly go back after him one more time left before he goes right. Bill's running away, he falls. And then Relly goes off to the right. Now, we have to break that down a little slower. It's very fast what happens. Again, guys, when you're deliberating, you get to see this. Right? So it's back in the room with them? Yeah.
What?
Does this get to go back in the room with them?
Yeah.
Oh, good. So, you can see as much as you want, as long as you want, as slow as you want, as fast as you want. But look, that didn't stop Relly. I'm not done with that yet. What you see is him repeatedly hitting Hills, move towards Shorty, and trying to hit it. And look, you see Relly literally cocking his arm back and slugging Hills. I'm going to try and show it to you here. I'm going to get that pointer. I'm going to sit in this chair so I don't block you all in the back. Can everyone back there see? Yep, big head. Okay. Wow. Be gentle on the screen. There's Rocky, there's 12B, there's Hills, and there's Relly. And boom, he's going after him. Look at him. He's tussling him. There's the first shot. There's the second. And look at his arm going back and forth here. Can you go back for a second, guys? Look, you see the arm going back and forth. Go back one more time, guys. A little further. Please. Thank you. Watch his arm. Boom, and you see the head of Hills there, going back and forth. And why does 12 tell you he ran? One more time, guys, please. He said he sees Relly coming at him, and he has that something hernia, renal hernia, whatever that is, and he couldn't fight. Watch. He's right there. Then he sees him coming, and he runs because he can't fight. Look, it's over. Why is he still fighting? And he just knocks those down.
Yo, really was giving Eels the business. I don't care. Like he was whooping on
One more.
Eels.
Good graces, and then he goes to the right and leaves. Well, the good news is you get to take that back in the video. The jury, I know that. So that's good. You can see as many times as you want. Whatever speak you want. Stop wherever you want. I encourage you to do that. That's the fences at the EE. That's the right time. If you see, Jack, we do it one more time, just that shot part. It's out, it's what Charlie told you, but again, you have eyes. Rocky's arm goes like that. That's where the shot is. I really described that. That's what he's doing. He's shooting down. It's after really attacks him. Boom, he's hitting L's. Boom, you hear the shot. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no real question that Relly was the aggressor here. The video from 1616 Visa Del Mar makes that perfectly clear. Perfectly clear. The real video, not the rough one that was off by a second, that makes the shooting all look ridiculous. I mean, their video, you hear a shot, and then Rocky shoots. That's the video that captures what happened. 12 narrated for you, your eyes can tell you. He wasn't using Ills as human shield. He wasn't underneath or behind Ills. He was on top of Ills. That's not how you use the human shield. And 12, he told you that he told Rocky to leave because of the noise, because of his status and the high-profile person. And Rocky ultimately left, but still, after that, Relly continued to attack Ills. They, as mentioned to you, they cut off their video, so you didn't see that anymore. Hoping, oh no, so let's play that video real quick. Can we play this? This is their video. Watch what's cut off at the end. Rocky's going. Well, he says checking to make sure it was okay. Then he runs. That's it. 1616 Vista Del Mar. 1616 Vista Del Mar is cut off. Go back one more time, just where it gets cut off. Combined surveillance video. That's the one. What you know happens next is Relly, they're out of the picture now. Relly goes back and hits Ills again. 12 describe it for you. Why did that not make it into this video? Go ahead. Boom. Because I think this chair is a little, the nail sticking out, by the way. Just so you know.
That wasn't me.
I know that wasn't you, John. That one I don't blame you. Is there a bill I can send for the suit that you sent? Literally, it's a nail sticking out. Anyway, don't worry about it. Let me sit there. Not good. Okay. Anyway, the video, folks, the video itself by itself is reasonable doubt. It's a reasonable doubt in this case. Another reasonable doubt. It just makes clear that their case does not hold water, that Relly was the aggressor, that Rocky acted justifiably in self-defense bills. Even though he was carrying a pop gun, those Ills will be dead. That was a real gun on that second shot. And again, the judge gave instructions on self-defense. I have to discuss it with you. What matters is the defendant's perspective is what matters. And what he thought was right at the time. Judge gave instruction on that, reasonableness and all that stuff. You have to listen to that. The prosecution must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he did not act reasonably, Rocky. It has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he did not act in self-defense of another. If you have any questions in your mind as to whether he acted in self-defense or defense of another, if you have some doubt or some concern that he just may have acted in defense of himself or another, you have to stop. Not guilty.
It's like stating the law. It's true.
Does it stay in your arm?
Yeah, it's not
I'm sorry?
What you said, it's not accurate. Here's a jury instruction that's already been given to you, and this applies to everybody. You must follow the law as I explained it to you, even if you disagree with it. If you believe that the attorney's comments on the law conflict with my instructions, you must follow my instructions.
But I think I understand what Mr. Lewin's objection was. He actually was right. I said some doubt, it's not some doubt, it's a reasonable doubt.
That is right.
It's a reasonable, okay, there we go. So no swallowing. So if you have a reasonable doubt that he may have acted in self-defense of another, you have to stop. Okay? And the judge, again, will define to you what that is. Even if you get that far, because you should, because the evidence is so overwhelming, that was the problem. If there's a possibility he acted in self-defense, you must find him not guilty. Rocky, now we gotta address this, Rocky didn't testify in this case. We heard the judge's instructions about that the defendant has a constitutional right not to testify. We spoke to some young jury selection about that. And that decision is not to be considered during your deliberations. With that said, during your deliberations, keep in mind that there was nothing more said than what was already explained to you by both our witnesses. So what we rated, you know that for a long time, hours. You heard from Twelby, who explained what happened that night. And Rocky carrying the prop gun. You heard from Lou Levin, who explained how Rocky got possession of the prop gun, why he carried it, and where it went. There was really nothing more, aside from the video, Twelby and Lou, for Rocky to have added to the truth about what
That's
happened.
an improper argument. It's just that.
Well, look, by the way, with regards to Twelby and Lou, you heard the people say, and I expect they will say it again, the first time that we mentioned the prop gun was during this trial. This is Detective Flores' testimony when they tried to ask me that or suggest that this had just come up. Question to Detective Flores. We're doing deposition criminal cases, correct? Okay. Question. So basically, what you were being asked are questions related to discovery disclosure in a criminal case. And you said, yes. Okay. So these discovery related matters, and because they didn't receive discovery notice, is not the same as it just surfaced at trial. Like it was just invented. That's not true. Lou and Twelby they told us about this last year. And of course, Detective Flores told you law enforcement didn't have a chance to speak to Rocky after he was arrested. And of course, there's no idea.
That misstates.
No, who didn't say they had a chance to?
Do not debate. Just said misstates the evidence. As I said yesterday, I don't know what the evidence is. I don't think anybody remembers every word of every witness. If this is something significant, as I mentioned yesterday, you can ask the court reporter to read it back. The court reporter will have every word that has been spoken. Go ahead.
Anyway, of course, Detective Flores had no idea what was said by Rocky to his attorneys back in 2022 when he was arrested. And ever since.
That's also improper argument to rule aside the evidence.
In any event, there's absolutely nothing new, as they're trying to suggest. And look, they also brought up something that I now have to address, that Rocky had an outburst, so to speak, in trial. Okay? Knowing that he's innocent, he had to sit here and listen for more than 3 weeks, listen to
No, this is improper argument. No, it's addressing what Mr. Krisloman had brought up in his argument. Overruled.
He had to sit here for more than 3 weeks, listening to Relly say the most horrific, most offensive things about him in messages, calling him horrific names. He didn't say a word. He sat in silence. Always composed and respectful to this court and to you all. At some point during a minor, unrelated question, unrelated to November 6, 2021, Mr. Loon was asking Twelby the meaning of an acronym in Rocky's bedroom. Rocky did something was a privacy. Don't say. This had to do with his kids. It was personal to his children. And he asked not to say, okay. He regrets doing that?
Your Honor, there's no evidence of this. Can you read that back?
Mr. Leone was asking for the meaning of the acronym. And Rocky did something that it was private. Said, don't say it, it had to do with his kid. It was personal to his children. He asked him not to say it.
The jury heard what the question was. The jury heard what Mr. Mayers said. Leave it at that.
That had absolutely nothing to do with the facts of this case. The truth, what happened on November 6, 2021, whether he carried a prop gun, he didn't commit a crime. The fact that they actually argued that to you in their summation is indicative of just how desperate they are. That was something worth mentioning to you in their summation. Let's talk about the crime of extortion by relative. That was actually proven in this trial.
Your Honor, that's improper argument. Overall, for legal conclusion, crime.
Overruled.
That's why Rocky told Relly in a text message that night, go to the police. Go to the police. But Relly didn't, not until he got civil lawyers 2 days later, because it was never his intention to go to the police. You heard that loud and clear. Instead, his end game was always to take Rocky's money based on false accusations. That was always his intention. And that's why that night, instead of getting the police involved, Relly, according to him, with his shell casing that he found, texted the photos of his shell casings and knuckle scrapes to Rocky's manager, John Heyman, saying he was going to be rich. And that following message was sent to his own business partner, Justin Benea, saying, I want to get this end's money. Within minutes. That was in his mind. And you heard Relly complain in bitterness how Rocky didn't give him opportunities. So when the opportunity presented itself on November 6th, 2021, Relly jumped all over. Right from the beginning, Relly tried to get Rocky's money. Right from the beginning, without going to the police, without even going to a civil lawyer. So you heard from his own mouth what he knew that to be. Words so catastrophic to his claims in this case that his immediate reaction was to lie and say the tapes were fake. Fake. Get those away from me. You have to tell me, Nora. Fake. But
So you hold him because we were presenting fake evidence to you? Yes or no? I don't know. I don't know. This is a wonderful. Is that why you guys keep playing fake audio to me, like fake stuff? I never said none of that to you. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't fit in with his tapes. You're trying to slip it in. Okay, stop. All right, let's answer the question.
fake audio tapes. The fake audio tapes that the district attorney played yesterday with the Terrell Efron name, that's all his quotes. I mean, Terrell Efron was sitting here yesterday, he'd be screaming, those are fake! During Mr. Brzomik's summation. I heard Mr. Brzomik say in his summation, who cares what he said to Wally? Who cares? He didn't forget the import of that conversation, that he committed perjury to you, and said that they were fake when they were real. And, you know, during the cross-examination of Wally, the guy flew from Paris, by the way, on a subpoena because he had to be here. Okay, literally a 13-hour flight to testify, and then take another 13-hour flight back. And the question was, you flew business class, didn't you? Like, as if that were the reason he took 26 hours of plane to get here to testify. I had him on direct examination for 10 minutes because he was here for two things. Do you know anything about this case? I know nothing about this case. Good. Is this tape real? Is that, did you make it? And is that your voice? And is that Broly's voice? Yes, it is. Bye-bye. Have a good flight back. Nope. 2.5 hours on cross-examination. But you know what was never asked on cross-examination, not even once? Is the tape fake? Is the tape fake? Did you doctor the tape? Not even once. By the way, the tape they spent, I don't know, the portion destination playing for you yesterday, we provided to them. We provided them that tape. That they think it's so helpful to them. They know those tapes are death. Death to their case. First of all, their main witness once again committed perjury on a most important issue in this case. Those are fake, he said. Fake. Get those away. He's a clown. Those tapes are death to Relly's claim and his credibility in their case. As Wallace and Jimmy made clear that anything but fake, you heard Relly tell him that you ask for a bag without a lawyer, bro, it's called extortion.
You know what I'm saying? You ask for a bag without a lawyer, bro, it's called extortion. You feel me?
But that's exactly
You're
what
gonna do everything accordingly.
That's exactly what Relly did. Because he didn't have a lawyer until November 8th, 2021. After he already tried to ask for money from Rocky and his manager. And after Relly lied about what he just told Wallace and Jimmy, we called Mrs. Jimmy just to establish the authenticity of those recordings. Nothing more. He knew nothing about this case. And because of the evidentiary rules, we were only allowed to ask Mrs. Jimmy about statements that Relly denied making.
No, that is untrue.
So we had those 5 questions that we asked him. Did he say this? Did he say this? Did he say this? That's the prosecution played other parts of the recordings afterwards. And it was not a gotcha moment. So we gave him those statements. At the time of their discussions, remember this, the Wallace and Jimmy discussions, that was in 2022, after Rocky's arrest already, after he filed his civil suit. They were about the events of November 6, 2021. There were of no significance at all what Relly said to him at that point regarding November 6th, at all. Because he had already been arrested, Rocky. Relly had already been telling his story for months. His fabricated story for months. So that he said it to Wally on a tape makes it more true. If you tell a lie 100 times, it doesn't make it more true. So in an effort to give weight to that story about the incident, those recordings, they played. Rocky was already arrested and he had already had a civil suit, been permanent disabilities from a bullet wound, and he needs $30 million. That was his story by then. Big deal, he said to Wally, in part. He still had no qualms lying to Wally at all on those recordings. When it suited him, of course, telling Wally that he was a millionaire and that he made Rocky's career. That was on those recordings too. That wasn't true. Neither of those things. But when Relly didn't lie about, however, what he didn't lie was about his intention to pay Rocky's money, which is why he falsely said the recordings were fake. He knew what was coming. And he just said, I say they're fake, they can't play them. They're fake, get those away from me. In other words, get away from me. So Wallace and Jimmy was an IP guy who came in for one reason, authenticate tape, period, end of story. First question I asked him, do you know anything about the facts of this case? No, I don't. He was not brought in here to talk about the facts of this case. But the prosecution, in 2.5 hours of course examination, asked him about his motives for making the tape. Is he better friends with Rocky? That's not being a very good friend to Relly. It doesn't matter why he made the tape. Who cares? He could have, whatever his motives were, who cares? He made the tape. It was real. Those were really Relly's words that he said were fake. Whatever his motive was is irrelevant. Even if he wanted to help Rocky, he told you that's how it was that Relly was trying to get involved and he was falling and whatever. But whatever his motives were, does it make the tape less real? Or Relly's statements less real? he was never asked one thing about those recordings being real on cross, which means they accept the fact that they're witnessing the perjury to you when he said they're fake.
That's improper argument.
Fair comment.
That should be offensive, and especially to you, the jury, trying to make a decision of such importance in this case. It's a lot on your shoulders. That should be, you should be offended by that, I would say. So what did Relly tell us on those messages? His earlier text messages to Rocky when his manager, when they were trying to get money before his lawsuit, that he never cared about the police. He still doesn't care about the police. Quote, the end game, I'm suing the shit out of him. That's my end game regardless. I don't give a F about no police. And those are his words on the tape. In fact, Relly only went to the police after his effort to extort Rocky failed. And Relly's civil lawyer said, unless you go to the police, I'm not taking your case. That's why Relly showed up at the police station in Hollywood with a civil lawyer standing next to him 2 days later. What victim of a crime was a police station report a crime with an attorney next to him? Judge, want to do it now? Sure.
If you have 2 more minutes,
You
use
go
that,
ahead.
otherwise you
Sure,
can break.
sure. Yep, yep.
Say again?
I'll do 2 more minutes, just I'll stop.
Then we're gonna take.
Yep. As witness side, you heard, by the way, the prosecution questioned Relly about telling the police he heard 3 to 4 shots, but only giving them 2 shell casings before having seen the videos, as if somehow that makes him more credible. That makes no sense. He was there, of course. He knew it was 2 shots. By this time, he already saw the video. He knows it's 2 shots. And in fact, he would exaggerate when speaking to the police. Does not make him more credible. By the way, when we talked to Wally, he had up to 5 shots. He had up to 5 shots when we talked to Wally. So before Relly went to the police, even before he went to a civil lawyer, you saw the messages he sent trying to get Rocky's money. Part of his plan to extort Rocky, Relly sent text message to him, falsely accusing Rocky of trying to kill him. Obviously, Rocky knew that was false and was shocked that Relly would even make a claim, so which is why Rocky wrote him back. I tried to what? Stop making shit up. He wrote him back. And now the prosecution has alluded to the fact that during this trial, Rocky didn't mention in his message anything about his prop gun. They don't consider one thing, though, about that. They don't consider one thing. Unlike Relly, Rocky didn't have a reason at the time he sent that message about stop making shit up. He didn't have a reason at the time, or think he needed a reason, to create a record of events for some later date. At the time he sent those messages, Rocky thought they were between the 2 of them. And he knew why Relly understood his claim wasn't true, because it wasn't true. Rocky didn't shoot him and was aware that Relly knew he didn't shoot him because a prop gun doesn't shoot bullets. A Star pistol doesn't shoot bullets. Yes, sir.
It's time.
Okay.
You want to finish the thought?
If I could, just a thought.
Finish the thought, and then we'll take it.
And then this is the perfect place to bring it. And that's why after learning soon thereafter that Relly was contacting his manager trying to extort money from him, Rocky was done communicating with Relly. He stopped answering completely and said, go to the police. And what kind of person tells someone to go to the police if they know they've committed a crime? Your Honor, I could resume from here when we come back.
All right, we'll take a
Close
break
to the
until 11 o'clock, folks. Please take a step to chase amongst yourselves or anybody else. And we'll see you in 15 minutes.
All right, y'all. How y'all feeling about Takapina's closing argument? Our guy is still up there going over every piece of evidence, every bit of testimony, to basically destroy Relly's credibility. He's basically telling the jury, like, look, I need y'all to understand that Relly is a liar. He's an extortionist, and this is all about money. I feel like it doesn't truly. I don't feel like it really helps to the elements of the crime because at the end of the day, he's gonna have to. They're gonna have to determine if the prop gun was real or not. I just don't think that there was a lot presented from the state side.
Do not mention the prosecution's verdict. Here's a quote. On an objection, you overrule it. The prosecution accepts their witness committing perjury. It's improper, it's unethical, you said you're not going to tolerate it, and I object. And you make it clear to the jury that my objection you find annoying. It's very clear that the tone that we get when we make an objection that should be sustained is, what are you doing? That's what was said. You specifically
Lower your voice and don't yell at me. I told you before, I'll listen to what you say, speak in a normal tone of voice.
Judge, we're doing the best we can to make sure that this trial is ethically conducted. They have repeatedly, I've objected, you told them it's improper. You overruled repeated objections where they are saying improper things. He just said a moment ago, this is a direct quote, the prosecution accepts their witness committing perjury. I object. You respond, that's appropriate comment on the evidence. It is not appropriate comment on the evidence, Your Honor. I don't know if you didn't hear it.
I didn't hear that.
So Judge,
What I heard, I could have been wrong, what I heard was that Mr. Tacopina was describing Relly as committing perjury.
Judge, that's a direct
Drop
quote.
the hammer.
The direct quote was, the prosecution accepts their witness committing perjury. Here's another one. Relly committed extortion. There is no legal.
Do you think the jury's going to ask for what the legal description of extortion is?
Your Honor.
Forcing someone to pay money, that is, quote, extortion.
Your Honor.
Go on to something else.
No, I want to make my record. I mean, you're going to do what you're going to do, but I have a right to make my record. No lawyer can get up here. No lawyer can get up here and tell the jury that a crime has been committed when there is no instruction on that crime. When in fact, Your Honor, that's not the legal definition of extortion. We've objected, and the court again is basically telling me, don't worry about it, it doesn't matter. Your Honor, it does matter. After a while, when there are so many of these things, they add up. And when the court is saying, wow, what they don't care about it.
No, I didn't say they don't care about it.
It seems, Your Honor, it's improper argument. And the problem is.
I don't agree with you. I think using the word, quote, extortion to describe the conduct is not improper. I think it's fair comment on the evidence. You, in your rebuttal argument, you can say it wasn't extortion.
Your
You
Honor,
can address it.
Your Honor, the bigger issue, as I said, is the court repeatedly told them, do not connect the prosecution to committing crime.
I'll tell you what, I didn't hear that. I'm going to ask Kathy for the exact quote. If that's what was said, I'm going to sustain your objection, and I will apologize for overruling.
Judge, can I respond, please, on that one issue? Not
Yeah.
everything else you said. What I said was, and I agree with what I said, but understand the context of it, okay? But I didn't say this is more perfect. I didn't say it yesterday, I didn't say it today. But one thing I said, and it was fair comment, was the prosecution accepts their witness committing perjury. What I mean by that is in regards to one thing, and it's indisputable, Your Honor. It was regarding Relly saying the tape was fake. The tape was fake. They got up, cross-examined Mr. Sajemi, did not ask him if the tape was fake or not, okay? They then put up transcripts of that tape recording with attributions to Mr. Efron. So that means by that, just by that very fact, they accept the fact that he committed perjury. I'm not saying they support it, but they accept that witness committed perjury. They have to. Let me finish. There's no other way for them to move forward unless they say that wasn't perjury, but it was because he said that was fake. We know that wasn't fake. It was real. That was perjury. So by then moving forward with it, arguing that the tape is important for the prosecution, that Efron said these things, that when they cross-examined Mr. Jemmy, that wasn't being a good friend to Efron because he made a tape. All that is doing is, I'd say it's subordinate. It's different. I would never say that. I didn't say it yesterday. What it is doing is accepting it because they didn't say, we have an issue with this witness. He's committed perjury. It's accept. I said they accepted their witnesses committing perjury. That witness committing perjury on that one issue. That's fair comment, Your Honor. It's not inappropriate. It wasn't disparaging counsel. I didn't say Mr. Lewin. I just said they accepted, and that is true. That there's no other way around it.
It is not fair comment. It is completely unethical.
I agree with you.
So, Your Honor.
I agree with you.
What's frightening is Mr. Takina just stood up here and basically defended, and said, yeah, I said it, but I can say it. He doesn't know or care about the law. That is clear. And Your Honor, when it's happened 25 times in this trial, with the hiding of evidence, with the late discovery, and with repeated, you told counsel before we started, do not disparage the other side. I said yesterday, you argue what you want about witnesses. You say a witness lied. You do not disparage counsel. You repeated it yesterday. He tried to explain how he didn't make mistakes yesterday, which he did. Now he gets up and he's now admitted, yes, I made that comment, here's why it's appropriate. Your Honor, it's not appropriate. It's completely unethical. It is immoral, and it's not professional. And again, Your Honor, the fact that he is getting up here saying, yeah, I said it, here's why, just demonstrates again, he doesn't know the law or doesn't care.
You're disparaging him, right?
I'm disparaging him because, Your Honor, he's not following the
There
weirdness
is not to be any disparaging of either side.
during argument. The jury's not here. I have every right, obligation, and duty to stand up here and point out when he was being unethical. The first time the court catches me being unethical, Your Honor, the court knows. That'd be the first time. Court knows. I don't do that.
Oh,
Court knows. Court's already made
I've heard enough from both of you. I missed the prosecution accepts their witness committing perjury. I don't think that's fair comment on the evidence. I think that's an improper statement. It infers that the prosecution is allowing perjury to occur. I'm going to sustain your objection, and I'm going to apologize for overruling it, and then move on. If I were the two of you, I would just move on and not make a, bring it to the jury's attention. I would point out, though, I told you at the beginning of arguments that if an objection is made, I'm going to do my best to call it as I see it. You have made 17 objections. I have overruled 12. I have sustained 5. I'm doing the best I can. I will continue to do the best I can, and that's all I can say.
I just want to put on the record that, these remarks about being unethical, I've just about had it with him. This from a lawyer who, and I just stated yesterday on it, this from a lawyer who asked in front of a jury for a stipulation that a shooting range was not in California, when either he knew it was in California or had no idea that it was in California. Okay? So he literally asked for a stipulation in front of a jury that he knew was not true or didn't know if it was true. And that's unethical. That's unethical. And this is a guy who, the Ninth Circuit just said lie to a jury in the Brantford case.
Your Honor,
So
Your
I
Honor,
want to
Your
hear
Honor,
about him.
one more thing out of him, and we air everything that's happened in this case, which the court's aware of.
Stop.
He might want to stop.
I'm so correct.
You should be, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Let's take a break.
You should be.
Don't tell the courts ever told me I was a liar.
Oh my God, they be tussling, and y'all, we finna watch that
Stop
back.
it.
We finna watch that back, baby, because y'all
It
fireworks.
was, and I agree what I said. But understand the context of it, okay? But I didn't say this in one purpose. I didn't say it yesterday, I didn't say it today. But one thing I said, and it was fair comment, was the prosecution accepts their witness committing perjury. What I mean by that is in regards to one thing, and it's indisputable, Your Honor. It was regarding Relly saying the tape was fake. The tape was fake. They got up, cross-examined Mr. Sajemi, did not ask him if the tape was fake or not, okay? They then put up transcripts of that tape recording with attributions to Mr. Efron. So that means just by that very fact, they accept the fact that he committed perjury. I'm not saying they support it, but they accept that witness committed perjury. They have to. Let me finish. There's no other way for them to move forward unless they say that wasn't perjury, but it was because he said that was fake. We know that wasn't fake. It was real. That was perjury. So by them moving forward with it, arguing that that tape is important for the prosecution, that Efron said these things, that when they cross-examined Mr. Jemmy, that wasn't being a good friend to Efron because he made a tape. All that is doing is, I'd say this is warning. It's different. I would never say that. I didn't say it yesterday. What it is doing is accepting it because they didn't say, we have an issue with this witness. He's been perjured.
I said they accepted their witnesses committing perjury. That witness committing perjury on that one issue. That's fair comment, Your Honor. It's not inappropriate. It wasn't disparaging counsel. I didn't say Mr. Lewin. I just said they accepted, and that is true. That there's no other way around it.
It is not fair comment. It is completely unethical.
Oh,
I agree with you.
So, Your Honor.
I agree with you.
What's frightening is Mr. Tacopina just stood up here and basically defended, said, yeah, I said it, but I can say it. He doesn't know or care about the law. That is clear. And Your Honor, when it's happened 25 times in this trial, with the hiding of evidence, with the late discovery, and with repeated, you told counsel before we started, do not disparage the other side. I said yesterday, you argue what you want about witnesses. You say a witness lied. You do not disparage counsel. You repeated it yesterday. He tried to explain how he didn't make mistakes yesterday, which he did. Now he gets up and he's now admitted, yes, I made that comment, here's why it's appropriate. Your Honor, it's not appropriate. It's completely unethical. It is immoral, and it's not professional. And again, Your Honor, the fact that he is getting up here saying, yeah, I said it, here's why, just demonstrates again, he doesn't know the law or doesn't care.
You're disparaging him, right?
I'm disparaging him because, Your Honor, he's not following the
There is not to be any disparaging of either side.
during argument. The jury's not here. I have every right, obligation, and duty to stand up here and point out when he was being unethical. The first time the court catches me being unethical, Your Honor, the court knows. That'll be the first time. Court knows. I don't do that.
Oh,
Court knows. Court's
All
already
right,
made.
I've heard enough from both of you. I missed the prosecution accepts their witness committing perjury. I don't think that's fair comment on the evidence. I think that's an improper statement. It infers that the prosecution is allowing perjury to occur. I'm going to sustain your objection, and I'm going to apologize for overruling it, and then move on. If I were the two of you, I would just move on and not make a, bring it to the jury's attention. I would point out, though, I told you at the beginning of arguments that if an objection is made, I'm going to do my best to call it as I see it. You have made 17 objections. I have overruled 12. I have sustained 5. I'm doing the best I can. I will continue to do the best I can, and that's all I can say.
I just want to put on the record that, these remarks about being unethical is not just about had it with him. This from a lawyer who, and I just stated yesterday on it, this from a lawyer who asked in front of a jury for a stipulation that a shooting range was not in California, when either he knew it was in California or had no idea that it was in California. Okay? So he literally asked for a stipulation in front of a jury that he knew was not true or didn't know if it was true. And that's unethical. That's unethical. And this is a guy who, the Ninth Circuit just said lie to a jury in the Brantford case.
Your Honor,
So
Your
I
Honor,
want to
Your
hear
Honor.
about him.
One more thing out of him, and we air everything that's happened in this case, which the court's aware of.
Stop.
He might want to stop.
I'm so correct.
You should be, Joe.
Oh,
Let's take a break.
You should be.
don't tell the courts that told me I was a liar.
Hey.
Oh, I'm so scared of you.
Stop it.
Oh my God, the judge sound like me talking to my kids. Knock it off. Stop fighting. Stop. Leave me. Leave him alone. Don't hit nobody. He sat there and accused Joe. He sat there and accused Joe of being unethical. And Joe told him, you sit up here and you tried to stipulate that gun range was in another city when you either knew it was in LA or you didn't know it was in LA. But either way, it was unethical. Lewin said, we gonna earn everything then. You want to talk, we gonna earn everything. Like, Lewin, what you know that we don't know? Lewin, what you know that the people don't know? Because now we all ears. We're all ears. We want to know what else has happened. Keep your hands to yourself. What they say, Ash, keep your hands, feet, and all other objects to yourself. Because the people want to know, Lord, what you talking about? What you talking about? Did y'all see Tacopina go, woo? Baby. He said, I'm so scared. But did y'all peep that Takapina also called out the fact that he lied to a jury in another trial? And that's what triggered him to be like, we gonna eat everything. Like, did y'all pick that up? Let me know if y'all picked that up, because if y'all didn't, y'all know I'm gonna run it back so y'all can hear it. Ash says he don't have nothing. She think, okay, D-Wood said he heard it. Ash said she think he blowing smoke. He all talk. Kim is laughing. She say run it back. Stand on business, say run it back. You didn't catch it either. Okay, I'm gonna run it back real quick so y'all can hear it, because he most definitely said something around the terms of him lying to a juror.
Lawyer who, and I just say this on it, this was a lawyer who asked in front of a jury for a stipulation that a shooting range was not in California, when either he knew it was in California or had no idea that it was in California. Okay? So he literally asked for a stipulation in front of a jury that he knew was not true or didn't know if it was true. And that's unethical. That's unethical. And this is a guy who, the Ninth Circuit just said lied to a jury in the Brantford case.
Your Honor,
So
Your
I
Honor,
want to
Your
hear
Honor.
about him.
One more thing.
So did y'all hear it? In the ninth something just lied to a jury on another case. Like, and that right there sent Lewin over the edge. That's when he comes back with the
Thing out of him, and we air everything that's happened in this case, which
we should be laughing this hard, y'all. Like, this shouldn't even be funny. This shouldn't even be going on. This should not be happening at all, y'all. Look at Rocky. Rocky didn't put the glasses on. Okay, I need to know what skincare routine Rocky got going on, because the skin is flawless. Okay, it's giving every bit of Fenty beauty products on that skin over there. I don't know what Rihanna doing over there, but the skin is flawless. YSL 2.5. They going off, beta. Yes. Lied to a jury in the Ninth Circuit. And when Takapina said that, Baby Lewis said, we're going to air everything that was unethical in this case. Takapina said, woo. Rachel, it was like he was catching the Holy Ghost. He might have been catching the Holy Ghost. Y'all, what's the Ninth Circuit? I'm not sure. I'm guessing it's a court. I'm not sure. But they putting it on the record. Yes, they up there like siblings. They up there like siblings. Taco say come with it. Baby, do you hear me? Gorgeous. Yes, Kim. Skin is over there. Skin is immaculate. The skin is immaculate. Okay. Taco say, well, come on with it then. Come through. And I've got money on Joe. He's a strong looking dude. Okay. It's a court division. Okay, I thought so. I thought it was just like another court. But yeah. So all right, y'all. So I will tell y'all that I gotta go do an afternoon thing for Valentine's Day. So I'm getting ready to head up out of here. I think they're on lunch anyway. They shall be back at what time? What time are they coming back? Oh, they're on break. It don't say what time they coming back on here, but I think they're coming back. Give me what you got, okay? Maybe that's a part of the lawsuit that was Kim. I was asking you that because I saw something about that too, and I thought it was with another DA. And it's on the record. Yes, Ash, it is on the record. Takapina ain't no punk. He ain't no punk, y'all. He definitely ain't no punk. Okay, so I gotta go. I'll tell y'all what. When I come back from my afternoon shenanigans, yes, Alexis. When I said they was arguing. They got busy. It was hot. He was hot. I don't know. He was hot, CB. He took that jacket off. He said, I'm about to show you. Yep. We're getting ready to see. We're getting ready to see. I'll be back though, y'all. We're gonna still watch the end of it together. You know what I'm saying? The way that they going, I don't think that the jury's gonna be deliberating today anyway, because the rebuttal has to still come, and Takapina is still arguing. So I honestly feel like the rebuttal is gonna come, and it's gonna take us through the day. They'll probably get discharged, and they'll probably only have about an hour of deliberation. Actually, I think that's what he said on yesterday. Now that I'm repeating it, I believe I heard him say that on yesterday. So I don't think we're gonna get a jury verdict today anyway. So like I said, I'll come back for sure, and we will all, watch this together. We'll watch it together. The Taylor Umbrage way, because y'all know we have a good time over here. Y'all know we have a good time over here. So there is quite a few people who are, let me check. Let me see. Let me see. Did she go offline? Yep, I think she went offline. She might be coming back after lunch. Let's see. She might be coming back after lunch. Y'all heard anything? Y'all heard? Oh, no. She's live. So I'm actually not going to send her over to Cat's live. So what's up, 400? 400 is in the building. I was checking out your video this morning. Are we staying over here? No, I'm gonna send you guys over to Mel. I'm not a lawyer, but live, because our girl is live. And I think y'all like it over there. I think y'all will like it over in Mel's live. So we'll go ahead and raid and make sure you let her know that Taylor sent y'all. The Taylor gang is in the building. But I will be back a little bit later. So just keep your eye on your notifications. And like I said, we're gonna keep watching. Y'all have a good Valentine's Day, and I will see y'all later.